rated M for mature.
Who are you counting on?
Hey.
Who are you leaning on? Who are you
Hey.
Hey, so. Whoa. Hey, they tryna block all my blessings. They thought I lost the stepping. I bet on me and my team. ISO is what I'm rapping.
Who are you counting on?
Mercury Racing was forged in the heat of competition. The will to win is in our DNA. Competition isn't just what we do, it's our proving ground. It's about the pursuit of power, performance, and endurance that pushes our limits and yours. We create premium marine power to take you faster and farther. The world offers limits. Mercury Racing offers freedom. Live wide open.
Welcome to sunny Sarasota, Florida. P1 Offshore has shown up in full force for the 40th annual Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix. With over 60 boats entered this weekend, it promises to be an exciting 2 days of offshore racing. And it all starts right now. First up, Class 1 boats qualifying here. They're already on the water, and Mike and Ken are up in the booth. Let's head up to the guys.
Thanks a lot, Taylor. Yeah, it's exciting to be here, and it is a warm day here, as you would expect. Ken Stout and Mike Kowalski sitting right alongside. We're excited to be here. Welcome to the Sarasota P1 Powerboat Grand Prix here in Sarasota, celebrating 40 years, so the second longest-running boat race, from what I understand, to Key West. We're excited to be here, excited to watch these big boats get out there on the water and see what they do. They practiced a little bit earlier this morning. This place is a little rough, a little choppy. It's got some swells in it that aren't always visually something that they can see inside of these boats. As we talked about before, the lack of vision is probably the biggest thing. But talking with Rich Wyatt inside of the DF Young boat, Good Boy Vodka boat, he said, man, you got to kind of know where they're at because you don't. He said, if you see it, it might be too late.
Yeah, and it's a good shot there from our camera. You can kind of see how it rolls up towards the beach just a little bit, and it depends on what the angle of the boat runs, too. Sometimes you're running straight into it. Sometimes it's coming at your rear quarter. Sometimes it's coming from your side. It just really depends on where it's coming from and you being able to figure out what the timing to get across it is. Just so like motocross or supercross or trophy trucks like you run, you can get a rhythm through it if you can figure it out where you can double up over it and try and get on the back side of one. So it'll be interesting to see. It was much rougher yesterday. A lot of teams didn't want to go out and test or practice yesterday just because of how rough it was. I thought it was supposed to calm down a little bit, but I don't think it did as much as everybody else thought it would.
Yeah, agreed, and that's certainly what I heard. We're taking a look at our points leader. That is the Monster Energy MCon boat, of course. They've had an incredible season here as well, and it is Myrick Coyle doing the driving, and owner Tyler Miller will be running the sticks inside of that one. Before this shot, we saw the Morpheus 8 Allegra Motorsports boat is back with us. So we have 5 Class 1 boats out here at UIM points battle. Great to have a field of 5 here once again as we take a look at the Good Boy Vodka.
They are currently sitting third in points behind DeFalco. Of course, DeFalco taking their first win in Sheboygan back in August. Great day for Mike Falco and Billy Moore as they were able to get that victory haul to the top of the podium. Rich Wyatt, Alex Pratt, they want it to be rough water. They want chop. This is a 50-foot boat. They really like it when it gets bumpy. This boat can span across. It's the biggest boat in the fleet, and it can really span across the top of these waves. When I talked to Rich after practice yesterday, he said, I really want it to stay rough. He goes, I know I'm going to be good in it, and I think he's probably pretty excited there's some bump out there today.
So we will have 5 Class 1 boats out here. What's going to happen here is they'll have a 10-minute practice session. Then they will qualify for tomorrow's race, which will be live on MAV TV. Each boat will go one at a time, and they'll get 2 complete laps. By the way, if I'm not mistaken, the largest course we've had all year long, it's 6 miles in length.
Yes, 6 miles in length. Now, they can only run 1 lap. If their crew comes back and says, you ran a good lap time, we don't think we're going to get any more speed, save the equipment and go back in. This is not like racing in Sheboygan, where it was all fresh water, things can get wet, hose it off and be done. This is acid, basically. This is salt water. This will eat through things and tear things up, and it's much harder in the equipment. Not just the splash, the spray, but also the salt in the air. When you sit out at the beach, you go home from the beach, you feel kind of crusty and sticky. Well, that's salt from the air, and the same thing's going to stick up on these boats, and they don't want to run them any more than what they have to. Just preserve the equipment as much as you can. So, again, if they run their fastest lap on the first time out, they're done. They'll go back and put it back on the trailer. Monster Energy MCon is going to qualify in the number 1 spot. Then it's going to be DeFalco in the 2nd spot, BF Young Good Boy Vodka in 3rd, X Insurance in 4th, and Morpheus 8 in 5th. That is our point standing in Class 1, and that's how they're going to qualify here in Sarasota.
And it does look like the MCon Monster Energy machine has picked up the pace now, getting up to race pace. I saw the Morpheus 8 boat sitting down there in the bottom, was not moving at all, so don't know if they had an issue or if it looked like everybody kind of came to a stop there for just a moment. So hopefully we'll get live time and scoring up here in just a little bit as well and give you an idea of what type of lap times they are recording. Of course, top speeds here for these boats on a beautiful day would typically be about 160 miles an hour. There's the X Insurance helicopter, as always, giving us great shots. There's a look at it right there. So, yeah, we look forward to this one. But with that chop out there, I don't know that they'll see speeds of 160, but they say really the big thing is getting these things to turn and carrying that mid-corner speed.
Exactly, and like we saw in Sheboygan, Wisconsin with Austin Holmes, and I talked to you earlier, you've got to set the boat going into the corner. If you don't set the boat going into the corner, it's like having tires that are too slick on a race car. You're just going to slide right through the corner. You're not going to be able to turn. So that's the thing, carrying the speed through the corners, and with this chop, these are big, wide corners. It's not a dog leg like we had in Sheboygan. It's kind of the opposite. It's more of a triangular course with really wide turns. Look at how much MCon is bouncing around out there. They're getting a pretty good amount of air. I'm wondering, Ken, if they've already done their 10 minutes of practice, and this is the start of the qualifying lap for Class 1 for Monster Energy MCon. Talked to Tyler Miller at length at the drivers' meeting this morning. They did a lot of testing back home between the shootout and now, and he said, Mike, we actually went backwards. We had to kind of start over again, kind of reset some things. They were working on CG, center of gravity on the boat, how the boat was running, the attitude, the angle, but they're very happy with their setup. Remember, this is their first season with this particular package. They're the only team running the number 6 drives only. Everybody else is running surface drives with a rudder. This boat was built with surface drives and a rudder, and then over the winter between 23 and 24, they decided to go with just the number 6s because that's what they have on their Super Cat boat.
Yeah, the 438 Skater is something that they wanted to work with, something brand new, as you talked about. I spoke with Myrick very quickly. He said, yeah, a lot of changes, but not all of them work, kind of backing up exactly what you said as well. So we'll see how things go. This isn't their first time out on the water here by today. Even they went out this morning. They had a practice session. This team was very busy because they also run in the Super Cat category. So they went out there, made some passes in this one. Myrick said, yeah, they made a lot of changes. It certainly wasn't 100%, trying to get this thing settled in and fast. And then, of course, they hopped into the Super Cat and went and made some laps inside of that one as well.
This is some pretty tricky water. I can see this is the first time I've gotten to see it. I didn't get to go out yesterday, but this is some pretty tricky water. They're getting a little bit more air than I think they would have anticipated. It doesn't look like MCon is going as fast as they normally would. This is a very difficult race course, Ken. You've been over in the pits, right? 6th Street boat ramp. They're out in the Gulf of Mexico. That's a couple of miles away from where we're sitting. Whoa, big hop there. Set it down on the back. That was definitely a hole that they found, but that's what they're talking about. You get in the groove, you get in the rhythm, and then they're going to hit one, and it's just going to throw them all crazy sideways. But unless they get out on a boat or out to the beach prior to them going out, they don't know what the water's going to look like. This is much more of a guess than it is anything else. I guarantee it's flat calm on Sarasota Bay right now. I mean, it's probably a sheet of glass.
Yeah, they did try to get out yesterday. A couple of boats went out yesterday, but there was some weather in the area, so it was even worse. A lot of the teams chose to wait till this morning to get out there, and talking with some of the best, they said it is pretty lumpy out there, and you build a lot of speed here. He said it can certainly catch you by surprise, and it can be a really bad day really quickly.
Well, and think about it. If they go out and they run it and they don't like their setup, say they want to change their props, or say they want to change a gear ratio or move weight or something, they've got to go all the way back into the boat ramp, get hooked to the crane, pick it up, get what they want changed, put it back in the water, and then go back out a couple of miles to go out and test again. There's a lot to this race course here at Sarasota because we're not right there like we were in Sheboygan. Remember, they could just pull around to the crane, pull it out, do what they need to do, put it back in the water. Plus, high humidity here. You race cars, you know what that does to these engines. They just don't run as well. And again, the saltwater buoyancy is different between saltwater and freshwater, and that does make a difference in how these boats run.
Yeah, ironically enough, I've asked everybody what the differences were setup-wise between Lake Michigan when we were at Sheboygan and here, thinking exactly that. You have cool lake water, but you come down here to a dense salt water that's warmer. They said really not a whole lot of change. It's one of those things where you said, where you talked about you got to come out here and drive the boat. You got to put it in the water. You got to go there and see what it's like, and then they'll come back in and make some adjustments to it.
Exactly. But as they run along the beach, now they are running south on this 6-mile course along Lido Beach. Beautiful day here in Sarasota. This is day one of 2 days of racing. 70-plus boats here in Sarasota. Today we're going to bring you Class 1 qualifying. We're going to bring you factory stock 450, Super V, and, of course, Super Stock. Super Stock's going to be awesome, Ken. We've got 11 boats in that race today. I think it's going to be very, very exciting, especially after the start we had in Sheboygan.
Rick Lindsay doing the driving there in the X-Insurance, flying, I should say, in the X-Insurance helicopter, giving us a great view, as he always does. He's as crazy as the ones driving the boats, I'm telling you.
He puts that helicopter anywhere he wants to. I think he's not scared of it by any means.
He is not afraid by any means.
You see on your screen there the monster mile between buoy number 5 and buoy number 6. Not quite a mile today, a little bit shorter, but got to give a shout out to Monster Energy, the official energy drink of P1 Offshore Racing.
Myra Coyle negotiating the buoys out there as they make their laps here, and we've yet to hear one way or the other that qualifying has started. We'll try to let you know if they let us know, but as of right now, we thought it was a 10-minute practice. We were told a 10-minute practice, but we only see one boat out here at speed so far.
Well, Myra Coyle's been a very, very busy guy. They just had the shootout out at Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri, just a couple of weeks ago, and he went over 200 miles an hour in another skater owned by Slug Hefner with Rusty Williams. I think
the
he went
Dirty
201
Duck.
or 202.
He went 199 on day one, and they were oh so close. And then I think day two, they upped the ante just a little bit, went 202, and I think second fastest speed. There was a 221 out there that weekend as well. Always cool to watch the shootout.
Yeah, American Ethanol went 221. They've got 4 turbocharged motors and American Ethanol synced together to come out of one drives. Myrick and Rusty did it with 2 Carson Brummett built supercharged engines, and they actually have nitrous on the boat. They felt that they had so much lag on the turbos off of the start that they actually will give it a shot of nitrous, and when it sees 20 pounds of boost, then it cuts the nitrous off. And that's how they were able. They got to start at 40 miles an hour, and they just couldn't get that oomph that they needed to get to speed. So the nitrous obviously paid off well because they had a really, really good run out there. That's not the only boat that Myrick ran, though. I mean, he runs a couple of different boats. He works for a Performance Boat Center, the biggest, without a doubt, the biggest powerboat dealer in the world, offshore powerboat dealer in the world right now. He'll run later today in Super Stock as well. That's a really good point to bring up, Ken, that I just thought about. Myrick's out here getting to do Class 1 qualifying. He's going to get to go back and talk to his Super Stock team, Performance Boat Center Fast Diesel Fuel Systems, and he's going to say, this is what we got to see. This is what it's doing. I think this is what we ought to do. That's a huge advantage right now here in Sarasota.
And I believe Billy Moore will have that same opportunity. Is that correct?
No, he's not running anything in Super Stock today, as far as I know.
I'm sorry. I was talking about from Class 1 to the Super Cat.
Yeah, Class 1 to Super Stock.
Super Stock.
Yep, Super Stock will be our third race today. Because it's definitely confusing water out there. And it's interesting to see. I want to watch this video with Tyler and Myrick later. I see a lot of white spray right down the bottom of the boat. A lot of water sticking to that boat. You can see it almost every time they come through the water. It just doesn't look like, to me, it's flying as good as it normally would. But again, it's very hard to tell from our perspective and our vantage point.
Yeah, we've heard them talk about this being a smaller boat in terms of the fleet, as you've talked about a number of times. This boat really excels in flat water. That's where it really shines. And in the rough water, man, the entire boat out of the water there 2-3 times. Looks like you might have had to check up just a little bit, but not really the water that they want here, as you talked about before. More of a D.F. Young style ocean here so far, or Gulf, I should say.
Or even Morpheus 8 is going to like this.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Carlos De Quesada and Johnny Tomlinson are going to like this water. It's a bigger boat, wider boat, and a longer boat than the skater you see here. So it'll be interesting to see what these qualifying times do here in Class 1 as we watch Monster Energy MCON come around. I believe this should complete their second lap. We do have a status of started on our scoring and timing, so let's see what they come up with.
The not big boat is 43 foot long.
It's not that big. It's not that big.
I don't know how big your boat is, but mine's
23 feet. 23 feet.
There you go.
So even if I double my boat, I still don't make it to what they have. A little bit. But it's not the length that's impressive about these boats. It's the width. You know, and how they have to tilt them on the trailers. That's what gets everybody about these boats, is actually how wide they are, more than their actual length. So MCON turns in to the inside of the course. We do not have times yet officially, so we will wait to see what gets brought to our attention. So up next, it should be DeFalco. They are currently sitting in second in points.
Yeah, done a really nice job there. 79 points to the Monster Energy MCon team. 55 points is where Team DeFalco comes in here. Mike Falco, of course, Billy Moore, as we were just speaking about him. And you mentioned it before, grabbed their first wins at Sheboygan. They cleaned up, man. They qualified number one and then won the doubleheader both days. So a great job there for Team DeFalco. And we should also note that at Cocoa Beach, they were way out front. And Lake of the Ozarks, they also, as I recall, I believe had a pretty sizable lead. But Cocoa Beach had a monster lead and unfortunately had a mechanical. So they had some water pressure issues that at some point actually doubled the pressure inside of that boat. So it was up near 80 psi, so they had to back some fix some issues there, and they got things sorted there, obviously, at Sheboygan, and went out and really laid down a couple of great days.
So the lap time for this number 6 boat, their first lap was a 3-minute 35-second lap. Their second lap was 3 minutes and 36 seconds, so just about a second off, or a tenth of a second off between one lap and the other. So let's see what DeFalco can do coming up next in Class 1 qualifying. And there they are right there. Of course, Mike Falco owns a concrete precast company in New York City. Super nice guy. Taking his first win in Sheboygan. Billy Moore. So I talked to Billy Moore, Ken, yesterday in the pits. They can have the engines out of this boat in 20 minutes.
Wow.
And they pull them out every time that they go back. So they went back from Sheboygan. They pulled the engines out. They actually found a couple of issues. They got them resolved, went out and tested. But every time they go out and test, they pull the engines out. And Billy said it only takes 20 minutes. Within an hour, they can be on the floor, and you can really see everything. You can look in the bilge. You can make sure there's no issues with the engines, no issues with the boat or the rigging. And it really just, enhances their program. That's that much more. And when Mike jumped in with Billy, that's the kind of thing that changes program around, and we're able to get them their first win in Sheboygan. But they're catching quite a bit of air out there, too, in that victory hull.
Yeah, so good look right up the center of that as well. By the way, the width of that hull, 72 inches here in Class 1. I believe it's 66 inches, if I'm not mistaken, in the Super Cat, so a little bit bigger here. We talked about the size of the boat there, the MCon boat being 43, this one 46 foot, and a 12-foot beam, speaking of width, of course. And something that I learned after practice, they had put a U-shaped piece of carbon around the hatch underneath the bottom of the boat, where the escape hatch is under the bottom in that tunnel. And it was packing air in there and actually might make causing a lot of lift to the boat. So they literally took that piece off after practice. Mike said he wanted that thing to settle down a little bit. It wasn't working out for him the way that they had hoped.
Well, the attitude of this boat, Ken, looks completely different than Monster Energy MCon. This looks a little bit faster to me. It's staying in the water much more. Now, one of the biggest differences is the drives on these boats. This boat runs surface drive. So basically, it's a drive shaft directly out of the back of the boat with the propeller on it. The Monster Energy MCon boat is running the number 6s, which come out. They basically do a 90-degree turn down and then do a 90-degree turn out the back.
It would be what I would call more of a conventional outdrive that people would be familiar with.
Exactly. Well, when you talk to the guys that have run both of the boats, this boat is going to fly more level simply because the props are just straight out the back of the boat. It's going to want to push up and fly level, as to where the Monster Energy boat, it's going to want to pick the bow up a little bit where those props are just a little bit deeper. Not a significant amount. I'm not saying feet or anything like that. I'm saying inches, of course. But it will want to tend to have that boat rock up just a little bit. And you can tell the attitude of this boat is a lot different than what we saw at that skater hull. This is running much more flat, getting considerably less airtime than that skater hull was. So this looks really good right now for DeFalco.
Yeah, you might have mentioned it in here. So the way they steer this boat in comparison to the the M6 drives, where they will actually steer the boat as well.
Yep.
This has that huge rudder, great shot of it right there in the back, and that's how they will steer that thing, of course. And they can raise and lower. Oh, man, big moment right there. They can raise and lower those props. They have that ability, as all the boats do, and it happens very, very quickly to change the attitude of this boat as well if they're not happy with it.
Ken, I think that happened just about where Monster Energy MCon did the same thing. They caught a weird flyer right there. They went up, they laid it over on the side a little bit. I don't know how much they had to lift out of it to correct it. Looks like it self-righted itself a little bit and got itself straight. But it's interesting. This backside of this course seems to have a hole somewhere on that outside leg that is really kind of throwing these guys for a little bit of a loop. That's the biggest error we've seen this boat get since they started qualifying. They've got to beat a 3:35 lap in order to be on the pole.
And I see that on timing and scoring, it looks like they took the slower of the two laps from Monster Energy, the MCon boat, but we have it at 3:35 and 31, 3:35.31. So Not sure which one. They just posted one, so we'll see if we can get the second one. But we're keeping track of it here. We'll find out if they've got any more speed here.
There's your
in
rudder.
the DeFalco machine.
There's your rudder. You can see that white little spray right down the middle of the boat. That's that big stainless steel rudder that can, believe it or not, be adjusted vertically to reduce drag on the boat to try and get as much speed out as you can. But I really like DeFalco here. I like their performance. I like their attitude. This boat looks really, really good here in Sarasota.
And Sheboygan, as you talk about that rudder, they had to put a lot of wheel in this thing to keep it on the course. We had 20-mile-per-hour sustained winds that were blowing across the side of these boats, and they would literally aim them to the left, and the wind would blow them back to the right. But you got to put a lot of rudder in the boats, which, of course, is creating a lot of friction in the back and slows them down. Here, it's a much different course. As you can see, it's just the water itself is naturally more choppy and a much rougher ride here, despite the lack of the sustained wind.
Well, and this isn't just a swell, right? This isn't just a nice rolling wave. It does have a chop on top of it, which is giving these boats kind of a weird attitude. Looks like we have a hatch popped open on the port side of DeFalco as we will wait for their lap time to come across. They just went across the finish line, complete lap number 1. Let's see if we can get a time up here.
Yeah, good eye there. Saw that flapping around as well. I guess the question is, how would it affect them? I don't think it'll have any effect on how things end up here for a couple of laps.
Well, you'll notice on these boats, that's why the hatch is open backwards. So if something like that does happen, the air actually keeps it down instead of wanting to pick it up and rip it off. So it looks like boat number 18, DeFalco, went 3:21.08 on their first lap. So they are more
10 seconds quicker. That's a bunch.
Yeah, that's real. That's really fast.
Really nice job. Exactly what we expected. Now, keep in mind, they have qualified in the number 1 spot at every event. I think with the exception of Lake of the Ozarks, if I recall, I believe MCON qualified number 1 there as they went out and dominated that event. But this boat has been very, very fast. They've had to lead a number of times, just were not able to find the checkered flag until Sheboygan, as we talked about, with a 1-1 finish.
There was that spot again, Ken. You just saw. There it does it again. It's that straightaway. When they start to run north a little bit, look how far they are offshore. The terrain of the bottom really changes. It gets much more shallower, as you get towards up towards the beach. And I think it's kind of just changing the attitude of the boat quite a bit. Billy obviously thinks they have something more because a 3:21 is really good. I think he knows. Let them get a lap in it, get a little bit warmed up, figure the water out, and go and see if they can break that 3:21. That's why they're continuing to do their second lap here in Sarasota. But just a beautiful boat, beautiful livery down the side of it, the New York City skyline. Of course, we just remembered 9/11 this past week. Mike's very big into actually has 9/11 on the back of the boat. You might be able to see it there in your shot just behind the canopy.
Man, carried the nose there a bunch as well. And I have read where, as you talked about it being relatively shallow, they can drive off the bottom as well. So if there's inconsistencies off the bottom, which is, ironically enough, something that the drag boat drivers will talk about as well. If there's inconsistencies on the bottom, it can change how the water bring those dips up that they have to get through.
So in Key West, Florida, when you come racing into the harbor of Key West, there are 2 drain pipes that come out off of land, and they're underwater. But they always cause a hump right there, and every single time a boat will hop up over that. DeFalco does pull into the middle of the course. They have slowed. That is not what race control said to do. Race control said if you're done with your lap after your time, just turn in the middle of the course. They didn't want them to run the whole way back around to go north. So DeFalco has slowed and slowed quickly. And
we would think it would certainly indicate some sort of mechanical or something they're not happy with. Pull the plug on it here real quickly and
of course, we are presuming at this point we're never going to say that anything's happening.
Well, I don't think he would just completely shut off like that. Right. I mean, even if he just wasn't happy with the lap, so he would slow down. Yeah, that's a dead stop there. So clearly some sort of issue there for the DeFalco team.
Now, as I mentioned before, these boats do have Guardian mode on them, right? So it's kind of an idiot-proof system, if you would, where if you get low water pressure, low oil pressure, high oil temperature, high engine temperature, any number of things, it can go into Guardian mode. The way they reset it, though, all the way back, get it to the stops, and then go forward again, and that will clear the Guardian mode. Sometimes you have to turn the battery switches on or off or turn the ignitions on and off, but Mercury Racing came up with a way to quickly get past it because it can come up, especially in some of the growing years in Class 1 with the Mercury Racing 1100 engine package. Hatches open. They are still under their own power, so that is a good sign.
Yeah, we really haven't talked about the power inside of these boats, but a pair of those making 1,100 horsepower each, so 2,200 horsepower total out of these things, twin turbocharged, about 520 cubic inches or so. And as you talked about, Mercury competition engines, so everybody has the same one, kind of a spec engine, if you will.
Yep. And there's very specific rules about Mercury working on them and taking apart. You know, not just any engine builder can build it or take it apart. It has to go back to Mercury. It has to be certified through Mercury. When they raced Super Cat Light back in the day with the Mercury Racing 525, those motors actually all over them had bolts that were safety wired together with specific tags on them that, you know, the chief inspectors
Sealed
could just
up.
look
Yep.
at it. It
Sealed
was sealed,
on them.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
sure.
And they could look at that and say, oh, well, you've broken the seal or you haven't broken the seal. So right now, DeFalco, Ken, is going to stick with a 321.08, it looks like.
Great time, but we have no idea why they came to a stop. As you take a quick look at us in the booth here. By the way, beautiful booth, nice and air conditioned. It is hot. It is humid outside, so we will welcome this, and obviously a great view, courtesy of our awesome crew, giving us some good camera work out there as well.
Definitely. Up next, be DF Young, Good Boy Vodka. I think this is going to be a good qualifying lap for them. This is rough water. This is what they want to see. As we will get back to the qualifying here in just a minute. We're going to bring you factory stock 450 and Super V up next, and then Super Stock. That is going to be a very, very exciting race today. 11 boats in the class, and it's just going to be a good time here in Sarasota. Of course, Ryan Beckley racing in the professional plumbing boat. The hometown hero is right up in Bradenton. You got Grant Bruggerman. He's going to be in GC racing right here in Bradenton as well. So got a lot of local heroes, a lot of local flavor here in Sarasota. Big offshore powerboat racing community here.
Beautiful look. I believe that to be Lido Beach, and was out there at the Old Salty Dog yesterday. Had a nice lunch out there on the water, and purely dumb luck, but I just ended up sitting right by the rail, by the water, enjoying lunch, and all the boats came cruising by as they were tested a little bit. So
right? Yeah.
it was perfect. It could not have been a better lunch.
You were kind of a spectator for it. If you were at that point.
I was eating it up, man. It could not get any better. Beautiful look there at the coast.
That is the P1 VIP hospitality tent. If you want to watch a boat race in comfort with good food and beverage provided for you, go to P1Offshore.com and check out their VIP experience. They'll do it at St. Pete, and they'll do it here in Sarasota. I'm sure you might be able to even still get a ticket to enjoy the racing tomorrow here on Lido Beach. Well, there is boat number 17, the 50-foot Mystic, DF Young, Good Boy Vodka, Rich Wyatt and Alex Pratt, a new team together this year. Both very experienced racers, but joined forces in the offseason and jumped in this 50-foot Mystic and have done very, very well so far, sitting in third in points. They only came in third in points after DeFalco took the win in Sheboygan, but they've had a very consistent year and just done really, really well. Of course, Herb Stotler tunes this boat, longtime engine builder, one of the best in the industry. Been wrenching for Rich Wyatt for quite a few years, and this team has really got this boat figured out. But, Ken, this boat takes a lot of work because it's the biggest boat in the fleet. They have to do just a little bit more work to make sure they're getting all the speed they can out of this boat. But just such a sleek-looking silver boat, number 17 with the green. Of course, Good Boy Vodka. Every pour helps a pup. I'm sure there'll be some Good Boy Vodka beverages to enjoy later this evening if you have enjoyed
I've been trying to help a lot of pups.
Me too. Me too.
It actually is real. I really, really love the John Daly seltzers too. They're very, very tasty for sure.
Yep. They have the Citrus Circuses, which is the Travis Pastrana drink developed just for Travis. Of course, the Orange Crush is a known Maryland drink, and Travis made a deal with Alex that you can put an Orange Crush in a can, you can put my name on it. So they came up with the Citrus Circus, another tasty beverage, if you would.
Yeah, I saw where Travis made a statement, I believe it was yesterday, was on social media and said if you're not scared to death the entire time inside of one of these things, then you're not doing it correctly.
Well, there's a video. If you want to see an interesting video, there's a video of Britt and Travis racing together. This was a couple of years ago here. They were racing in Mod V at the time, and they were in Britt's old boat. And I don't remember the story of what happened to the boat, but all that I know is their faces got real big, their eyes got real big, and they got it settled back down and got it figured out. And they had some good stories to tell from that race if you want to ever Google that video. In fact, I think they did a highlight reel of all like Travis's most amazing motorsports moments, and that was in it because it was a pretty scary moment.
Yeah, allowing Travis to run the throttles, you better hang on because I don't know if he knows how to pull back on anything.
I questioned that. I wondered about that.
Beautiful looking boat here, of course, DF Young machine and Good Boy Vodka as a big part of that as well. And once again, the X Insurance helicopter goes sailing by as you take a look at the number 17. Talking to
Rich White a little bit earlier, multi-time champion, of course, said there's some big swells out here. They were going to make a gear change, did not say up or down, but was going to make a gear change after practice this morning to come out here and take a swing at it.
And you can guarantee that these teams are going to be looking closely at the weather tomorrow because it could be completely different today. Sarasota can go from really rough to really calm really fast. And just because it's like this today, I mean, it might not be like this tomorrow, but I don't think anybody thought it was going to be really this rough today either.
They did finish up on the podium here 1 year ago as they were in the third position behind the Husky Ice Spitz boat and the 222 Offshore Australia boat, which took the win here a year ago.
They did. Of course, Giovanni Carpatella will be throttling the Montlick Insurance 450 factory stock boat coming up next. He did throttle that 222 offshore boat based out of Australia. Love this 50-foot Mystic.
Boy, that thing just looks happy, doesn't it?
Oh, it looks fantastic. It looks happier than DeFalco did. And look at his props never come out of the water. They're getting a little light. They're getting some cavitation to them, but the whole drive, you don't ever see the full, complete drive. And he's on that back straightaway where we saw everybody kind of take those weird hits and those weird hops and kind of twist around a little bit. You just don't see this boat doing that. This boat looks flat. It looks planted. It looks really, really good right now. There's a bigger hop for it there as you saw some prop action.
Yeah, and I would say for the fans at home to go back in their memory banks and kind of remember what the Monster Energy MCon boat looked like and how much it was completely out of the water in comparison to this one, which is yet to leave the water entirely.
Now they go into the turn. They set it pretty tight there, which means they feel pretty comfortable with the speed. But you're a car guy, so you know with twin-turbo motors, you do not have instant power. Those turbos have to spool up. It's the same thing here. It's not like running everything else where you have just instant go power. They've got to kind of think about, plan their moves, plan going through the corner, really plan throttling the boat. The turbine boat, Scotty Begovic used to throttle the Miss Geico boat, and he said it was just not like throttling anything else because you didn't lift out of it as much because you couldn't get back in it as quick as you need to. So they'll let it kind of spool up just a little bit more and won't necessarily work the sticks just as hard. Not as much as we would see in something like Super Cat or a Mod V boat, which we'll see later on this weekend.
Completely out of the water there, a couple of hops, but yeah, you bring up a great point. You've got to keep these things in the boost. You don't have multiple gears to get you up there. Once you get there, you've got to keep it there. So if you chop a turn down, you lose a lot of speed for whatever reason, you fall out of that boost level. It will take you a good amount of time lost, certainly in qualifying here, to get that thing happy again.
Yeah, you can't drop it down in the second gear because you RPM's back up where you want it, and then it shifts back up to third. And that's what Steve Curtis told me a long time ago. He actually throttles the boat not with the tacks but with the boost gauges because they know if it has to be, I'm just throwing a number out there, between 20 and 30 pounds of boost, he knows to keep it in that range. He doesn't want to go less than 20 and doesn't want to go over 30. So he'll watch that, and that's how he'll throttle it. Most of the time you're doing it off the tacks, right? You want your boat to run your RPM.
Yeah, and a lot of times with a car, you can drag a brake and keep it in the boost.
Right.
Instead of getting out of the throttle. You can't drag the brake here.
Right. That's that trick of stepping on the gas and on the brake at the same time. That's a really hard thing to do. In a pleasure car, which might not be the safest thing to do either. Hey, it's worth trying on a back road.
You got to practice in a pleasure car.
Right. No practice in a pleasure boat for this. You can guarantee that. But I do like this boat. It does look fast. And I'm interested to see what it will do compared to DeFalco right now, a 3:21.08. So DF Young Good Boy Vodka ran a 3:30.57. So they are in second place in qualifying right now. DeFalco sitting on the pole.
Just sneak ahead there a little bit.
I'm really surprised, Ken. I didn't think it would be that far off of DeFalco. I thought it'd be a little bit faster, but maybe they just wanted to go run their sight lap on the first one. Maybe it'll lighten up a little bit this time, get a little bit flightier, run a little bit looser. Maybe they'll pick up some speed.
Seems to me like they've carried that boat, a little more air this time around.
They've got
maybe they have picked up the pace here just a bit.
9 seconds is a hard number to find, though.
That's a
big number to look for.
I mean, the good news here, with 5 boats, you're going to have a fair shot at it anyways. You're going to have plenty of 30 minutes of run time. So if you've got a fast boat, you'll have some time to get it done. But I think that initial launch, whoever gets that first point, is so critical for that fresh air, that clean air, if you will, to stay out of the roost. To try and make a pass out here in this class is no easy task. And certainly the DeFalco boat has proven to be very, very fast all year long.
You won't see any rooster tail hopping like we saw in Sheboygan. They cannot afford to get hosed down here. The moment you get salt water in any of these connections, they'll start to corrode. You'll start to have all kinds of mechanical, issues due to corrosion or something shorting out. It's interesting, if they flip a boat over in freshwater, most of the time they won't have to rewire it. They'll choose to do it, but they wouldn't have to. But if it flips over here in the saltwater, the moment a positively charged battery or wire or battery hits that salt water, it just instantly destroys the wire. There's just nothing you can do for it. So they really have to stay out of that spray. And this is one of the very few boats that doesn't have like a big scoop on it. They've got a deck scoop where they're forcing air down to the motor just like this. It works out to be a little bit better because the air can kind of get up over top of it and may not scoop it. You get a big scoop like we see in drag cars and stuff. That's a big hole for basically water to go into. And not having those definitely helps, but they'll want to stay out of each other's rooster tails for sure.
Kind of see where they are there in that track map. Once again, 6 miles in distance here. And yes, the Monster Mile is here. Maybe a little tick underneath the a mile in total length as we take a look at this one. And yeah, man, I mean, these boats at speed are incredible. A couple of hops right there. It definitely seems like they are pushing harder here in lap 2.
And they went out wider through that corner. Remember on the first lap, they went in kind of tight. They ran really close to the buoy. There, it looked like they were much more mid of the turn, kind of arcing the turn just a little bit more, carrying more speed through it. Ken, the one thing we haven't touched on is there are 2 unknown variables still in Class 1. The 3 boats that we've seen qualify, they are top 3 in points. They've been our 3 consistent boats all year long. They've been to every race that we've been to. X Insurance is up next, and then we have Morpheus 8. We've only seen Morpheus 8 one time. That was in Cocoa Beach, Florida. It did not go to Lake of the Ozarks. It did not go to Sheboygan. And we have X Insurance, which made their return to Class 1 in Sheboygan. So 2 boats that we don't have a whole lot of information about. They're going to come up next. It'll be interesting to see how they do because this is going to be different water than any of the other races they've been to.
Herb Stotler, the crew chief on this one, out of Sarasota, Florida. I'm sure he's happy to be working here at home.
He might be used to the heat.
Maybe.
If you could ever get used to it.
It doesn't mean you like it. You're just used to it.
I compared it to, you're from up in the north. I say north, but you're middle of the country.
Indy's north.
Right, yeah. When it's cold, you get punched in the face when you walk outside. Well, it's the same thing with the heat. It takes your breath away.
And no, it's not a dry heat.
So it looks like on their second lap, I think they did a 3:30.57. So they were really consistent between lap 1 and lap number 2.
And we'll take a look at this boat. Now, obviously, we'll fill you in with lap time here. It looks like a 3:26.24. So they did shave a lot of time off of there. Excellent job for that team. And our Taylor Snyder's been busy as well. Let's get it back down to her. Taylor?
Back in first from the qualifying session out there on the water. I have Monster Energy MCon team. Tyler, I'll start with you. I don't think you guys have had a chance to look at your lap times yet. There's a quick look at them. You are number 6, your fastest being a 3:35. What's your initial thoughts here?
Well, 5 minutes before time trial started, we went out and made a last-minute test. We slung a propeller blade on our favorite set of props for this kind of water. So we were a mad dash just to make it to time trials. We knew the setup we had at that point was not going to be that competitive. So just to get out and get the 2 laps under our belt was good. We'll regroup and get the right prop and be back tomorrow.
And Myrick Coyle, we've been through this before. You guys don't always put down the fastest qualifying, but does that really matter when we come to race day?
Yeah, no, it's a battle of attrition, and obviously out there in the rough water, it doesn't necessarily matter who's in the pole position. In calm water, I would disagree. I mean, once you get that clean water, you're gone. There's no clean water out there anywhere, so we're just out there trying to do the best for the team and try to, do our laps, and that's what it's all about.
Any time on the water is a good time to learn about the boat. Any thoughts going into tomorrow's race?
Well, yeah, like I said before, just out there and do your laps and see how it all turns out. Obviously, we got looking for some propellers and try to make some changes tonight and see if we can get the boat a little better.
Excellent. Well, best of luck, guys. Let's see if we can get some more boats coming in. Until then, let's head back up to the booth, see how qualifying's going for the other teams.
Thanks a lot, Taylor. We appreciate that. Another beautiful look here at the beach. We're in Sarasota, Florida. If you're not familiar with that, welcome back to the booth as well. I'm Ken Stout, Mike Kowalski, sitting right alongside the super knowledgeable guy here. How long have you been doing this, bud?
20 years.
20 years. So.
Almost as long as you've been doing motorsport stuff. Yeah. Right? But not as much as you.
Yeah,
Although I still have
just
people come up to
fast.
me and like, you're
Just
working
fast.
with Ken Stout? You're working with Ken Stout?
Yeah, you lost a bet. Sorry about that, man.
No, you lost the bet. You're with me, man. That's what happens.
Good luck, the X-Insurance boat out here cruising along as they get started on their qualifying run as well. But, yeah, we're a little bit south of St. Pete, a little bit south, if you will, southwest of Tampa. So just down here on the Gulf Coast of Florida. Beautiful area, of course, known for its offshore powerboat racing. The most well-attended event so far here in 2024. We'll take a look at the X-Insurance boat here. That is owned by Rick Lindsay. Yes, the same Rick Lindsay that's flying the helicopter as well. Britt Lilly on the sticks here. Driver
Randy Kent
doing the driving here as well. You had a chance to speak with Randy at Sheboygan a little bit. A lot of changes. Speaking of Britt Lilly, he said they went out, they did a lot of testing with this boat. They've changed a lot. Center of gravity, you spoke of CJ a little bit earlier. Before they changed prop angles, prop height. So they've done a lot. But they went out and practiced a little bit earlier this morning, and this thing went into Guardian courtesy of water pressure issues. He said that they were going to drop the water hole to scoop the water in about a half hole. So the water scoop about a half hole. So to see if they could calm that down. So hopefully they will be able to complete the laps here without going into Guardian.
Yeah, they all have adjustable water pickups on them, whether they're on the bottom of the boat or they're on the transom, and they can raise and lower it based upon the conditions and the race site. The minimal amount of drag you can put, and plus it can chop up the water going back towards the propeller. Interesting to hear Myrick and Tyler talk about their qualifying lap. That's what I said before anybody went out. This is a difficult race course because you go so far away from where your equipment is that if you sling a blade, so slinging a blade means they probably broke a prop. You know, it's a $15,000 piece of metal that hangs off the back of the boat, and I wouldn't be surprised if they just ripped the blade right off of it. And they had to make a quick change, and you heard him say, we don't have a prop for these conditions. These are very, very specific conditions. This isn't like something that you see all the time. You're going to have a really good one setup type of deal for this race, and if you lose that, you're really going to be searching for speed. They've got to find 10 seconds. Can't think about this. They are our points leader in Class 1. They've had a dominating year. They are 10 seconds slower than the second place boat, than our number 2 qualifier, which was DF Young.
Yeah, that's it's massive. But as you talked about before, I mean, they really, I'm sure they wanted to get out here and at least see what they were working with, because the next time they're on the water, it's going to be race time. That'll be tomorrow morning, of course. So they didn't want to miss the session, so quickly had 10 minutes to change that, make that change, and get back out here and at least make a run at it so they know what they're working with.
This MTI, the lone MTI in the fleet, looks to be picking up some speed on the back straightaway. Of course, Britt Lilly still getting in the groove of throttling this boat, done most of his time driving, but now he has jumped over to the throttleman seat for this number 11 X-Insurance team, and I like the attitude of the boat. Looks good. It was a little bowed down when they started. Maybe a little bit too much negative trim, but he seemed to have picked it up quite a bit as the boat is just running really, really flat.
Good-sized boat here as well at 48 foot.
Now, this boat was a Team Abu Dhabi boat from overseas. They purchased it last year, raced it last year. Of course, it rolled over in Key West. Didn't roll over. It actually flipped over backwards in Key West with Grant Bruggerman and Randy Kent on board. They worked on it all winter long. Got it out for Sheboygan. So this team is really starting to get things figured out. It was good to hear that Britt had done a lot of testing with Randy in the boat. I think Billy Pyburn, who is a throttleman for the Dirty Money Racing boat, did some testing in it too. It's good to see this team start to get the kinks worked out. This isn't an easy class to go race. This is a difficult class to go race. Probably one of the hardest out there. And when you're still learning a brand new boat, you're learning a new driver or a new throttleman, there's a lot of pieces of the puzzle that have to come together. And I hope this team will get it figured out shortly. It'll be good to see them get up on top.
Randy Kent, a team manager for a number of different teams, really hands-on as well. A guy that is all business here at the racetrack, just his attitude. 2006 won the World Championship of the Super Cat Light Series with OSS alongside throttleman Reggie Fountain, the third, and 2014 to 17 race in the Unlimited class alongside Chris Hanley. So a lot of experience.
Mm-hmm. Of course, Reggie Fountain III, son of Reggie Fountain, founder and owner of Fountain Powerboats, a legend within the sport himself. Of course, Britt Lilly, Art Lilly's father, used to race for Reggie Fountain as well. So kind of all tied together. One big happy family here in offshore powerboat racing, as X-Insurance should complete their first lap any minute now. And we'll see if we can get a team. Just got a note. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. DeFalco is on its way in with a mechanical issue. DF Young completed both laps, but is having mechanical issues also. So right now, we have two of our Class 1 teams not having the best luck after qualifying. We saw DeFalco go down after the first lap. They're headed back in with some sort of an issue. as well as D.F. Young. So we'll catch up with those boys.
D.F. Young boat definitely threw down on that second lap, so they went after it. There's no doubt about that, and chopped a bunch of time off.
That comment makes me wonder, did they have enough to beat a 321, but did they start having that mechanical issue and had to lift out of it or slow a little bit? They still ran a 326. Look, that's very good, very competitive up towards the front, but I wonder if they might have had just a little bit more.
Yeah, good news for them. They'll have the rest of the day to get that thing fixed up as well. They do not race today. They won't race until tomorrow as we watch them make that big, long, arcing turn. Nice job, though, in terms of apexing those buoys.
That's buoys number 6, 7, 8, and 9 on the south end of the course. Mercury Racing provides full factory support at these races, so there's probably about 5 or 6 Mercury Racing techs around here right now. They will jump right up in there with the D.F. Young crew or the DeFalco crew and help figure out what's going on with those engines. They'll hook their computers up, do their readings.
If, in fact, it's engines, right?
It
might not be engines at all.
It could be anything.
Yep.
Could be transmission issues.
A lot of things to go wrong there. Yeah, it's pretty violent out there.
That was a pretty cool shot. Another cool shot right there of our X-Insurance helicopter providing the aerial footage for today's qualifying. All racing this weekend providing the aerial footage, getting to run alongside his sponsored MTI, the number 11 X-Insurance boat. As they ran on their first lap was a 3:38.94 for their first lap. So a 3:38.94. They're about
put them P4
Yep,
right
and
now.
That would have been number 4. Let's see if they can pick it up for the second lap. We've seen another team do well on their second lap. D.F. Young did much better their second time around. So let's see if the same thing can happen with X Insurance.
Britt Lilly, 2022 UIM Class 1 World Champion. I found it interesting that you said running the throttles here is relatively new for Brett Lilly, really a driver his entire life. However, his father, of course, legendary throttle man as well. But Brett Lilly, multiple Mod and Stock V World Championships and formerly the co-driver of the Class 1 Husky Chocolate team as well with throttle man Steve Curtis.
Yep, he's driven that. He's driven WHM for Billy Moth. He's driven a couple super stock boats. He really has driven quite a lot. But he made his mark in Mod V and Stock V. He's actually building the boats. He builds some of the extremes we're going to see out here tomorrow. He's really made his mark there, but he got invited to run Dirty Money. He's driven a lot. He really has, and it's good to see him jump over to the throttle man position. And I wish him all the best in the success at it. Got a lot to figure out and a lot to learn, but Britt's a super intelligent guy, and he's very open to learning everything he possibly can of what he needs to do to make this boat go fast.
Yeah, unfortunately, his father passed away earlier this year in February. Had a chance to be with his dad, of course, and his father could not have been more proud. One of the things that he told him, he said, "I got the job." So, and he was referring to driving a Class 1 boat, so or throttling a Class 1 boat. So it was something that made his father very, very happy, and a special moment between the two of them just before he passed.
And I used to work for both of them at their shop up in Arnold, Maryland, and I got to see the support that Art always gave Britt. And actually at Art's memorial service, I brought that up, but just how much he supported all of his kids, Sharon, Rodney, and Britt. Like, he just always believed in them 110%, made them feel that anything they put their mind to, they could go do. And I know exactly how much it meant to Britt to be able to talk to his dad about it right before his dad passed away. So we miss Art. We love him, the General, as we call him. A great guy. And, of course, Britt carrying on the family name, the Lilly name.
Boy, I would say just like the DF Young Good Boy Vodka boat, you can see they are aggressively getting after lap 2 here. This boat in the air a lot more than it was on lap 1.
Yep, loosening up quite a bit, maybe burning off just a little bit of fuel or getting a little bit more confident, feeling they can trim it a little bit more. Hanging it out on that edge more, if you would, to see if they can go any faster here in the Gulf of Mexico. Trying to beat a 338.
Rick Lindsay right there with them with the X-Insurance helicopter, giving us those awesome views. Yes, there are 2 helicopters up there. That's how we get a view of him as well. Pretty cool. So they will settle the X-Insurance boat down, pull back on the throttles, and turn back in after lap 2 completed.
Let's see if we can get a time here on their second. Looks like it's a 3:39.03. So they actually, nope, I'm sorry, it's a 3:34.31.
So they did tighten it up a little bit.
They did. So they're going to sit in third now because they are faster than Monster Energy MCon. So they are now up into the third spot. Monster Energy is finding itself in a spot it's not typically in, being down to fourth.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we're not done yet. We have one more boat to go.
Exactly. Let's see if Morpheus 8, Carlos de Quesada, and Johnny Tomlinson running this victory hull. Of course, we saw this boat in Cocoa Beach. This is a bigger hull. So it's going to like this rougher water as well. And, of course, if you're running a boat with Johnny Tomlinson, without a doubt, the best in the business, you've got all the talent you need in that cockpit of that boat.
35-plus year career. Has amassed over 50 national and world titles to his credit. Has over 160 individual wins. Yeah, he's he's a tough one, no doubt about that.
And just a great guy, just a humble guy to hang out with. Always appreciative to talk to the fans. He will actually run 450 factory stock later. So when I said Myrick had a chance to see what the conditions look like, Johnny can see him too, and he'll go back and tell Taylor and Milton and their crew chief that, hey, these are the changes we may need to make for our race, which will be coming up next here in Sarasota. So right now, DeFalco a 3:21.08, DF Young a 3:26.24, X Insurance a 3:34. And Monster Energy MCon a 3:35. Let's see what Morpheus can do. Of course, this boat tuned by Gary Stray. Gary Stray, a legendary rigger, started his career back in MTI with Super Cat rigging and has rigged boats for multiple teams around the world.
Well, it looks like Johnny getting after it right off the bat. That thing immediately up in the air.
It does look really good. It looks super fast and super flat.
And another big boat here at 50 foot.
Yeah, and it's not really picking the bow up that much at all. You can see it's getting quite a bit of air, but it's knocking the front down pretty quickly, which means their balance is really, really good. But they are already slowing.
Yep, clearly something going wrong here with the Morpheus 8.
And they've fallen off a plane.
That is disappointing for sure.
Yeah, didn't even get to complete a lap, and they have stopped quickly. Now, this could be a Guardian mode issue, maybe if they pull it back and reset it, but they're turning. They already want to head back into the pits, it looks like. They have water coming out of the side. That's the exhaust water dump coming out the starboard side of the boat. That's not a bilge pump or anything like that. So that means that motor is still running. It'd be interesting to see if we can see the other side to see if water comes out. That would mean that motor is still running too.
Had a chance to meet and speak with Carlos Tigosano last night. Great guy. Very, very approachable. Of course, many, many years of experience in sports car racing, as does his son as well, Michael, who has won some GT4 races here this year in the IMSA series. He and his son actually won the 24 Hours of Daytona in the same car together going back a few years ago, so very special moment for those two.
That's living in your world there, isn't it?
It's pretty cool. I mean, winning that race alone is most difficult, of course, but to do it with your son inside of the car, and he raced at the highest levels. I mean, they were in a DPI car, so as you take a look at Alex Pratt, I believe, climbing out of the DF Young Good Boy Vodka boat, that is the man behind the Good Boy Vodka brand. And there's Rich Wyatt as well, climbing up out of the hatch.
So they are going to be currently in the number 2 spot for qualifying. That's a good spot for them to be in. If this bump stays like it is, it could be a good day for this team tomorrow. They look pretty happy with their setup, as that's the Morpheus 8 support team pulling up to them. Now, I don't believe there are any rules about trying to figure out what's going on with the boat. They can't make any repairs or anything, but hopefully they maybe can try and communicate to see what's going on. But see, Ken, that port motor, the motor to the left, is not running. I don't see water coming out of the exhaust dump, so that means that motor is down as we see the MTI hull head back towards our crane area. So Morpheus out with a mechanical issue. So, Ken, that's 3 mechanical issues, with the 4th issue being that Monster Energy MCon threw a propeller.
Tough conditions out there. You can see actually right there, you can see some white caps as well. So it looks to me like the conditions progressively got worse during this session. Oh, man, and you can see the weather out there as well. So, yeah, I would say that's true. Obviously, that is rain off in the distance. I saw a small chance of rain here today, but was hoping we would get away with it. Obviously, we are definitely going to deal with it here. So, in the meantime, let's get it back down to Taylor.
Back in from qualifying, DF Young Good Boy Vodka. The guys are down here, and I'll give you a quick look at your qualifying times. 3:30 and 3:26. What are your initial thoughts?
We had a few issues with the overheating today, so hopefully we get that fixed for tomorrow. And I think Rich could have probably had a sandwich while we were trying to get the boat back on plane. So, I think there's a lot more improvement to do.
There were some things going on out there. I heard you guys chatting coming out of the boat. What was it like in qualifying?
It was rougher than we thought. It actually picked up a little bit right as we were about to go. Still missed a little bit on the gear. Guardian issues slowed us down quite a bit. So we'll be good for tomorrow. Make some changes and get it sorted out.
Any clue in the changes? Or are you keeping those secret, ready to get on the
top secret?
I love it. All right, well, we've got some more boats coming in with times. Let's head back out to the guys in the booth until the guys come back here.
And so it sounds like they also had some maybe some water pickup issues like we heard out of a couple of the other boats. So they'll have to get that sorted and see if they can keep those engines at the proper temperature that they want without those things going into Guardian.
You can see actually the crew is that's Carlos, I think, taking his life jacket off there, putting it back in the cockpit. So not sure what happened, but they have tossed it in early, if you would, not even trying to go out and make any sort of a run. So they did not complete one lap here in Sarasota. That will put them in the number 5 spot to start tomorrow's Class 1 race. We have wrapped up Class 1 qualifying. In fact, it looks like the boat's now going to be put under tow. Wrapping up Class 1 qualifying, up next is going to be factory stock, 450 factory stock, and Super V. That should be right around we were going to be around 145, but they're going to have to get this boat towed back into shore and clear of the race course. Ken, it does look like that rain is building to the north quite a bit there.
Yeah, it is working its way down. You can see it off to the left-hand side, and off to the left-hand side is lining itself up with us. So hopefully it does not come in and hammer us too hard here, as we have a full day of racing yet to go. The UIM Class 1 qualifying highlights here as we take a look at some of the action that went on. Congratulations, by the way, to the DeFalco team. They are the number 1 qualifiers here. 321.08. They've qualified in the number 1 spot at nearly every event so far this year. It's been a great run for sure. However, qualifying is qualifying, and it's over. It's all about race time now, and we'll feature those, the Class 1 boats, tomorrow.
And, Ken, a lot of work for a lot of teams tonight. Every Class 1 team, it sounds like, we haven't heard from X Insurance yet, but every team so far, Monster Energy's got something to figure out. DF Young, Good Boy Vodka's got something to figure out. Obviously, Morpheus has something to figure out, and DeFalco has something to figure out. Be a lot of work going on in the pits tonight. Everybody's going to be very, very busy. Luckily, those teams only have 1 boat. Monster Energy MCon has 2 boats, but their Super Cat boat should be ready to go for tomorrow's Super Cat race, which will be the last race of the day. But that rain could change the conditions a little bit. It will bump it up a little bit. I think it'll push a little bit more wind in, but also it could cool it off just a little bit.
So we will take a quick commercial break here as well. We will pay some bills here. A long day yet ahead of us here. We'll find out how the weather affects us as well. But one thing's for sure, we're going to have a great time watching some incredible powerboat racing here at the Sarasota P1 Powerboat Grand Prix, celebrating 40 years. We'll be back in just a moment.
Rated M for mature.
Who are you counting on? Who are you leaning on? Who are you
Whoa. Hey, they tryna block all my blessings. They thought I lost the snapping. I bet on me and my team. ISO is what I'm rapping.
Who are you
Rising up, pushing up to the summit. Got the keys to the show, get me running. To the place for the race, so we don't wait. Give it up for the win, this is our day. Energy, unleash the inner beast. Energy, running to the top. See you at the peak. Unleash the inner beast, but we never stop to the victory.
Can you say something to me here?
I used to toss a coin in the waterfalls in the wishing well. Now I get penny coin, some self-made. You ain't gotta wish me well. You ain't like me then, but I guess it's past tense, cause you tapped in. You was never who you said. I see the facade when looking at really me. Like you can tell my guard up. I ain't taking L's. If it's not in my favor, won't sign a deal. I got the royalty in the mail. I got authority in the field. Take a look in my iris. I be precise with the timing. I never know where my mind went.
Mercury Racing was forged in the heat of competition. The will to win is in our DNA. Competition isn't just what we do, it's our proving ground. It's about the pursuit of power, performance, and endurance that pushes our limits and yours. We create premium marine power to take you faster and farther. The world offers limits. Mercury Racing offers freedom. Live wide open.
It takes your breath away. That's how you can tell you found the perfect vacation.
It doesn't get any bigger.
A place that opens your eyes and your spirits.
It's a Kissimmee thing.
This is your getaway, your escape. Recharging, rediscovering, reconnecting.
Welcome to Kissimmee.
However you spin it, never forget what's at the heart. It's big and it's bold, day after day.
Welcome to Kissimmee, the big, bold heart of Florida.
The big, bold heart of Florida.
Let's make every day a beach day. Let's induce some serious vacation envy. Let's make it look like we've done this before. Let's reconnect. Let's get it fresh from the Gulf. Let's shine in St. Pete Clearwater. She won't remember her first word. She won't remember her first steps. But she'll never ever forget her first wave. Plan your trip at DaytonaBeach.com.
For over 60 years, ICOM has been your trusted companion, keeping you connected on the water, in the air, and on the ground. Whether you need a two-way radio for your cruiser, center console, personal watercraft, or anything in between, ICOM has you covered with the most innovative marine, amateur, aviation, land mobile, LTE, and satellite network products.
Insurance sucks, and we think so too. Why? Because traditional policies don't provide complete coverage, leaving you to deal with the holes and gaps. But not anymore. X Insurance's True Umbrella and True Homeowners are a true partner, covering any potential gaps and exclusions. With X Insurance's True Umbrella and True Homeowners policy, you will experience true insurance when compared to traditional policies. Contact us today or ask your agent about X Insurance.
It takes your breath away. That's how you can tell you found the perfect vacation.
It doesn't get any bigger.
A place that opens your eyes and your spirits.
It's a Kissimmee thing.
This is your getaway, your escape. Recharging, rediscovering, reconnecting.
Welcome to Kissimmee.
However you spin it, never forget what's at the heart. It's big and it's bold, day after day.
Welcome to Kissimmee, the big, bold heart of Florida.
The big, bold heart of Florida.
Welcome back to beautiful Sarasota, Florida, the 40th annual Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix. We've wrapped up Class 1 qualifying. Thanks to Ken Stout for joining me. From this point on, it's going to be me for the rest of the afternoon, so I hope you get to enjoy it. Right now, 450 factory stock coming out. None of these boats are doing a parade lap today, so they're going to get lined up and get right to their start. That's Hank Saloon, Montlick Attorneys. There is Meade Family Racing. TS Motorsports is out here this weekend as well. We'll run through a quick lineup for 450. We have F66, 151 Express, Ian Morgan, and Nick Impressia. 32, GC Racing Team, Willie Cabiza and Grant Bruggerman. Number 39, Hanks Saloon Racing, Kobe Harrison and Edwin Shear. Number 5, Mead Family Racing, Caleb Mead and Sean Torrente. Montlick Injury Attorneys, Doug Wright, Logan Aiden and Giovanni Carpatella. And number 7, TS Motorsports, Marine Technology, Taylor Sissom and Johnny Tomlinson. Of course, Johnny Tomlinson had to jump out of the Morpheus 8 boat and head to his 450 duties with the TS Motorsports MTI team. Interesting note here about the start in factory stock 450. They will not abide by the maintain your lane rule. They're going to forego that rule for this particular start. As you see, TS Motorsports just now coming into the turn, so they are waiting. They probably had to get Johnny into the boat, so going to be a little bit of a delay. We also have SV, Super V, running in this race as well. Boat number 75, Cortez Cove Fountain Racing, Zachary Jordenzi and Kirk Bridio. Number 11, Race Winning Brands, Ed Wendt and Willie McComb. And SV1, Team Farnsworth Hancock Claim Consultants, Elijah Kingery and Anthony Smith, the throttle man for the Hancock's Claim Super Cat entry, told me this morning he is jumping into the fountain and going to be running in this Super V race. He's pretty excited because he's never gotten to run a fountain with the Arneson Surface Drive package, so he's really looking forward to getting to see how that boat handled. Bumpy water. It's going to be fun V-bottom racing out here for Super V. 450 factory stock will be the first start, and Mod V will be the second start. There is Hank Saloon, Montlick Injury Attorneys, to Doug Wright Hall. So this is a Doug Wright versus MTI battle here in this class. Of course, MTI and Taylor Sissom, the one that pioneered this class and really taken off boats racing in Sarasota. So this is the second race. We'll bring you Super Stock up next. 11 boats in Super Stock. That is going to prove to be a good time. We've got 4 MTIs here this weekend and 2 Doug Wrights in factory stock 450. There's boat number 5, Caleb Mead, the 17-year-old, running with Sean Torrente. Hank Saloon, boat number 39. They are trying to get everybody lined up. Of course, it looked like Taylor and Johnny were just a little bit farther behind, but Morpheus 8 had some qualifying issues, mechanical issues during qualifying rather, so they had to get Johnny off of that boat and over to this boat. In this race, it's hard to do that because, as I mentioned earlier, the pits are just kind of so far away from where we are, you kind of can't get one person in and one person back out very quickly, so they'll go into the pass there and do the swap where it's a little bit calmer. It is bumpy out here, as we saw earlier. There is some rain off to our northwest. Don't know if it's coming this way or not, but it is bumped up. Got some white caps out on the Gulf of Mexico, so this is going to be a very good race here in factory stock 450. So now the pace boat's almost come to a complete stop. Not sure where GC Racing is. They're kind of the only ones that were missing. I'm missing 151 Express too. Yeah, don't see either one of those boats. So they've got to get lined up here as we are under very slow idle. There is that rain to the north, and that is a big rainstorm to the north, and it has built out to the west even more. So that will push some more wind in it. Now, if it blows through, we will race through the rain. We'll not race through lightning, but we'll race through rain. If it blows through, then it could calm the conditions back down, as it should get a little bit more windy before it rains and sometimes flatten out. As we are trying to get these factory stock 450 boats in line. Now, I'm not really sure what happened to the rest of the group, as TS Motorsports and Montlick are now side by side. Where are the rest of our entries? They have pulled past the pace boat. We might be in a hold for just a minute here based upon weather. That's a big rainstorm headed just to our north, and it looks like it might be coming this way. We are checking to see if there's any sort of delay due to weather. If there's lightning in the area, the helicopters cannot fly, although the helicopter just comes into the screen there. So there shouldn't be any lightning. Maybe we were waiting for a helicopter to come up with our divers on board. Cannot race without the safety crew. It is a hot and humid day here in Sarasota. Although it only says 87 degrees, it is very, very humid outside. Very, very sticky, very thick air here. I was hoping that when this race wasn't on the 4th of July weekend that it wouldn't be quite as hot. And, well, it didn't quite go that direction because it's still pretty warm. So the hatch is up on Montlick, maybe trying to get some cool air inside of the cockpit of the green and blue Doug Wright, as we are still holding for the pace boat to move. We do have the helicopter up, so we have divers. That's not holding us right now. And it looked like all the Mod V's the Super V's made their way out. That rain is pushing off to the north now. Doesn't quite look like it's raining here yet. Might be off to the west just a little bit as we wait to get this race started here in Sarasota. The 40th annual Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix. Of course, our P1 sponsors, Monster Energy, the official energy drink of P1 Offshore Racing, Mercury Racing, Sunoco Race Fuels, Myco Trailers, X Insurance, providing our helicopter footage today, Good Boy Vodka, Visit St. Pete Clearwater, ICOM, RCR Construction, Sartori Cheese, JF Ahern, National Exchange Bank, Abyss Batteries and Experience Kissimmee, our P1 sponsors for the 2024 season. So the boats weren't going to get into a mill, but it looks like they are now as we get this situated here with this start. This is our this is our first official race. We did Class 1 qualifying. This is our first official race for the weekend. This and Super V, and then we will have Super Stock come up after this as everybody is grouped together waiting for this start. Looks like the helicopter throwing something down to one of our safety boats. Not sure what that was, but they will take back off now, get over top of our race course. Thanks to Sean Steiner and his entire team. They do a great job at making sure all these racers are safe. Of course, found out this morning that Billy Allen donated a removable steering wheel to the dunker tank. So now when they do the dunker test, they can actually take the steering wheel off and simulate what they do inside the cockpit during their dunker training. So thank you to Billy Allen for that. Sean Steiner and his entire team keeping us safe here on the water. Let's hope we don't have to use any resources this weekend. There is the Team Farnsworth Hancock's Claim Consultants Fountain. They are milling as well, waiting for whatever this delay is to move past, and we will get racing underway.
Come on, let's go, guys.
All of the remaining classes will race tomorrow, Sunday, here in Sarasota. You can watch live on P1 Offshore's Facebook page or P1 Offshore's YouTube channel, as we will kick off with the bracket boats in the morning, and then we will do the Mod V race, and Super Cat will round out. We actually start with the Class 1, which will be 30 minutes plus 1 lap. Here in Sarasota, that'll be our first race of the day. Then we will do the bracket classes. Then we will do Mod V, and then we will do Super Cat, our final race here in Sarasota. 6-mile course, factory stock 450, going to run 9 laps for 54 miles. SV, Super V, is going to run 9 laps for 54 miles as well. Super stock will run the same amount, 9 laps for 54 miles here on the Gulf of Mexico. Beautiful look there at the Sarasota skyline, Lido Beach. If you've never been down here before, this is quite unique sand. Actually squeaks under your feet. Corally sand, beautiful white beach here on the Gulf of Mexico. Got some spectator boats outside the race course taking in the action today. More racing coming tomorrow. Next race up will, of course, be St. Pete in October. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will find out what our delay is. We'll be back right after this.
Rated M for mature.
Who are you counting on?
Hey.
Who are you leaning on? Who are you counting on?
Hey.
Hey, so whoa. Hey, they tryna block all my blessings. They thought I lost the snapping. I bet on me and my team. ISO is what I'm rapping. Who are you counting on? Rising up, pushing up to the summit. Got the keys to the show, yeah, we run it. To the place for the race, and we don't wait. Give it all for the win, this is our day. Energy, unleash the inner beast. Energy, running to the top. See you at the peak. Unleash the inner beast, but we never stop.
coin in the waterfalls in the wishing well. Now I get penny coin, but you self-made. You ain't gotta wish me well. You ain't like me then, but I guess it's past tense, cause you tapped in. You was never who you said. I see the facade when looking at really me, like you can tell. My guard up, I ain't taking nails. If it's not in my favor, won't sign a deal. I got the royalty in the mail. I got authority in the field. Take a look in my iris. I be precise with the timing. I never know where my mind went.
Welcome back to Sarasota, Florida for the 40th annual Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix. Had a small hiccup on the race course. We've gotten that taken care of, and we are going to go racing now in factory stock 450. MTI versus Doug Wright battle. Hank Saloon, Mead Family Racing, Montlick Injury Attorneys, 151 Express, and GC Racing TS Motorsports are entries in this class. Of course, this is a production-built boat. It has to be a production boat, meaning that anybody could buy this particular model boat. Can't be a one-off built design. Powered by twin Mercury Racing 450 horsepower outboard engines. Of course, those are going away next year in 2025, and this class will transition to the Mercury Racing 500Rs. Moving forward, been a great class. Of course, Taylor Sissom was the one that pioneered this. Her and her father, Randy Sissom, the owner of MTI, came up with this class. Felt it was a good way to move forward with the sport, and it really has grown. There are actually a couple of more boats out there. Gladiator Canadas, who flipped in Ocean City, is not with us. They're still trying to get that boat back together, but Taylor's done a great job with this class, really brought in a lot of talent, a lot of good racers, and it's really taking off. Very exciting to watch as we get ready to go green flag racing here in Sarasota. So it looks like Hank Saloon's going to have the pole. Montlick is going to be in second. TS Motorsports is going to be in third. Mead Family Racing in fourth. 151 Express in fifth. And GC Racing, Grant Bergerman and Willie Cabiza sixth. On the outside, there we go. Green flag racing in factory stock 450. Look at that start by Montlick Injury Attorneys. They are out to the early lead. Giovanni Carpatella, and Logan Aiden in the lead, and by a lot, over a rooster tail length, while the rest of the boats battle behind him. Couple of big hops there. Hank Saloon all the way on the inside. Now, as I mentioned prior, they do not have to maintain their lane through the corner. They can do what they want when they get into turn number one. And let's see how that works out. Looks like 151 Express, boat number 66. Ian Morgan and Nick Impressia, they move up into second place. That's GC on the outside of them. Mead Family Racing drops way back there, side by side with Hank Saloon. Montlick Injury Attorneys continues to lead. 151 Express in second. The battle right now between the two MTIs, GC and TS. As it looks like now GC starting to make up a little bit of ground on 151 Express. Big hop there by Montlick. They rolled up onto the side. Giovanni had to lift out of it just a little bit here. Logan Aiden is a fantastic driver. Some big holes as they head north here in the Gulf of Mexico. Really kind of separated this fleet. Well, it bunched them up and it separated them all together. You can see the Whitecaps in the background there. It is getting a little bit rougher as that wind and rain push through off of the Gulf of Mexico. A couple big hops there for this blue and green Doug Wright, as it looks like they have pulled out just a little bit. Now, not really. The young guns in 151 Express, they're sticking right with it, but they're going to have to contend with GC. And Johnny and Taylor are trying to look up the inside in TS Motorsports. Of course, boat number 7, that is the newest MTI of the fleet. GC on the outside, 151 Express. When they go across the finish line, they will pull a tape. That will complete lap number 1 of 9 for this class. GC trying to make a move on the outside, but look at TS Motorsports on the inside. Big hop there. They are able to get second place, not by much away from 151 Express. Look at GC Racing swinging out way wide, getting away from this group. Not sure if they're trying to find cleaner water out closer to the beach. Montlick Injury Attorneys continues to lead. There is Hank Saloon. Got to wonder if something's wrong with that Doug Wright hull, as they've just been slow since the start. But pretty windy conditions, pretty choppy conditions here on the Gulf of Mexico for our first race of the day. Be interesting to see if these conditions can hold, if these conditions stay around for the Superstock race, because that will make that a very exciting race to watch live, as they will come around and complete lap number 1 on this 6-mile course here in Sarasota. So TS Motorsports and 151 Express still doing battle for second place. 2 MTIs. Of course, 151 Express used to be Taylor's boat. And Nick Imprescia and Ian Morgan started racing it under the 151 Express banner. There is number 40, Montlick Injury Attorneys. They are your leaders. Complete lap number 1 of 9. It is pretty rough out there as these boats are hopping around quite a bit. Super V also racing at the same time. Let's see if we can find out what's going on with the V-Bottoms, who started behind this group. 3 fountains in that class. I'm sorry, 2 fountains and 1 skater. That looks like race-winning brands. Nope, I'm sorry, that is V1. Team Farnsworth Hancock Claim Consultants, they are currently in first. Race-winning brands in second. And Cortez Cove Fountain in third in Super V. So Anthony Smith fitting right into that fountain with the Arneson surface drives. He was excited to get to run. It looks like it's paying off as he is currently leading. They will also run 9 laps for 54 miles here on this 6-mile course. There is the number 11 skater. That is race-winning brands. Big hop there. They are really getting tossed around by that chop. It's coming at their rear corner, so almost a quartering C. Really kind of pushing around a little bit. That was a good save by this team. Of course, not being able to run as fast as they normally would. Ed Wendt and Bill McComb in this number 11 skater hull, currently running in second in Mod V. Let's see if we can jump back to the factory stock 450 race, as Montlick was continuing to lead in that race. And there they are, your leaders have completed lap number 1. They look like they are now heading northbound. A little bit trickier of a condition here because they're going to be running more into, not even really running into, I think it's going to be coming more at their side. So they're going to be tossed around a little bit, and this wind is going to kind of want to push them towards the beach, just like what we saw in Sheboygan. But Sheboygan, it just didn't have this chop all over it. It looks like it's raining now on the beach a little more to the north. Here is number 39, Hank Saloon. This boat's been really fast, been gaining a lot of speed lately, and just doesn't look right. Not sure what's going on with this Doug Wright. Kobe Harrison and Edwin Shear running this boat. Of course, got some memories in Hank Saloon in Key West, Florida. Also sponsored by Smoke and Tuna. That's the logo on the front of the boat. It is really quite windy out there. As you can see, the whitecaps now coming in from the northwest, so this wind has picked up. I wonder if this is going to die down after the rain blows through. Good possibility that it might. So it was 151 Express and TS Motorsports battling for second place in this class, and then GC Racing was in third. GC Racing went out very wide through the corners. They turned towards head south out of buoy number 4. There is boat number 5, Meade Family Racing, Caleb Meade and Sean Torrente. All of the MTIs racing here are 4-seater boats, so there's 2 seats in the front and 2 seats in the back. It might even be 3 seats in the back, actually. As I mentioned, these boats have to be production-built boats, meaning anybody could buy them. If you follow Performance Boat Center on Facebook, you'll see there's quite a few canopied MTIs now running around Lake of the Ozarks. Running now, I think, with the Mercury 500 packages on them. But the rules state that this has to be a production-built boat. It cannot be a one-off built machine. As Montlick Injury Attorneys continues to lead the blue and green Doug Wright hull. And there is 151 Express. They have secured second place now over TS Motorsports. And now it looks like GC Racing might be making a move on the outside. Ooh, big hop there. Got a little sideways by 151 Express. That's going to slow them. that may allow TS Motorsports to catch up. That's GC Racing to the right of your screen, TS Motorsports to the left, as they will combine a complete lap number 2 of this 9-lap event. Very ominous skies back behind these boats as rain has started to move into the area. And 151 Express, I got to give it to the young guns. I got to give it to Ian and Nick. They're running a very good race in second place in what are some pretty trying conditions. Of course, Nick and Ian work for Sean Torrente at STR right here in Florida, gaining valuable experience from an incredibly successful boat racer in offshore and in tunnel boat racing. Multi-time world champion Sean Torrente. He is running with Caleb Mead in boat number 5, Mead Family Racing. Logan Aiden and Giovanni Carpatella, they are getting it done in the Doug Wright, boat number 40. They are your points leaders currently in factory stock 450 with really nobody around to catch them. They have kind of run by them, not run by themselves, but they have run a lot of events this season, and that has allowed to give them the points lead. And run very good. This team has really performed well. We've got a hatch that did pop up on the starboard side of the boat. They won't worry about that, of course. If it breaks off, it's just going to break off. But that gives you an idea of how rough it is. The visibility not very good out there either. It looks like if it does start to rain as we begin lap number 3 of 9. Here are our leaders in Super V. This is Team Farnsworth, Hancock's Claim Consultants. Elijah Kingery and Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith, first time running this boat. Again, very excited to run the Arneson Surface Drive Fountain. Of course, this boat used to be owned by the late Bill Mazzoni and run under Team Taboo. When bought this boat about a year ago, rebranded it, kept a lot of the paint and the graphics are almost identical to what Bill had it, and that was to pay respect to Bill and the family. Of course, his daughter Lisa now helping out the DF Young team. We saw them qualify earlier. Beautiful cut down fountain, very low flat deck. They might have a hatch popping up on the front as well. They do, it looks like. I'm sure Anthony Smith is enjoying getting to run this boat as he has a 40-foot fountain with number 6 drive, so this is a good experience. A lot of fountain experience. Rather for Anthony Smith, ran a 38 with his father at What's Up. He used to run the 40-foot fountain with Ed Smith. Here is Mottlick Injury Attorneys. Knucklehead Racing. Sorry, I had a hiccup there for a minute. Knucklehead Racing. And now has his own fountain to run. Here is number 40, Mottlick Injury Attorneys. Big hop out there. Definitely getting thrown around quite a bit by the chop that's coming at them. It's kind of coming at the front port side of their boat. It's really not coming just at the side, so it's definitely throwing them sideways a little bit. But Giovanni Carpatella, one of the most experienced international throttlemen in the world. He knows what to do in these conditions. Lots of experience running all kinds of different boats. So I'm sure he's quite comfortable in these conditions, and I hear Logan Aiden multiple times is a fantastic driver, so a good pairing for this Doug Wright team, as Mottlick Injury Attorneys is a new sponsor for them this year. And as I mentioned, they are your points leaders in this factory stock class. As I mentioned, moving to the 500Rs for the 2025 season. Nice looking livery on that boat. It's got the green and the white and the blue, the graphics that wrap around the back there. Nice cut down deck. And they have pulled out a huge lead. Wow, look at all the way back now. That should be 151 Express in second. And they have fallen way off the pace. They are way behind our leaders, Mottlick Injury Attorneys. This will complete lap number 3 of 9. So we're getting just about the halfway point of this race. 450R factory stock. Race number 2 of 3 today. Next up will be super stock. There is 151 Express now coming into your screen. Where is TS Motorsports? They were running right with them. There they are. As we get a look at this beautiful teal green boat, 151 Express boat number 66. Of course, Ian and Nick got their start in the Mod V class in a Phantom boat raced that for quite a few years, and then moved up to this 450R factory stock class. As conditions are not currently improving on the Gulf of Mexico. Plenty rough out there, putting these MTI Doug Wright hulls and these Mercury Racing engines to the test in these rough conditions. Boat looks awesome though, running flat, not carrying the bow a lot. Really looks like a good setup for this young team. TS Motorsports not quite as far behind as what I thought. Maybe about 5 rooster tail lengths behind. So let's see if Johnny and Taylor have anything for the young guns of the class. MTI versus MTI. Of course, Johnny Tomlinson was in Morpheus 8, tried to qualify, but they didn't, unfortunately, complete one lap. Not sure what happened with that team, but they pulled off. Looks like they were being put back under tow and headed back in. Completing lap number 3 on to lap number 4 of 9 in this catamaran outboard powered class. Of course, you've got Super V running as well. Team Farnsworth Hancock Claim Consultants in the lead, Race Winning Brands in second, and Cortez Cove Fountain Racing in third. The Super V boats are trying to make a comeback that was really speared on the P1 side by Win Farnsworth. He bought this boat, they ran it, and they've got some more teams to come out and join them, and I believe there's even some more boats out there. I know Britt Lilly and Kevin Smith have a boat that can run in the class, so hopefully we can get these boats together and grow what was one of my favorite classes in offshore powerboat racing. Anybody remembers Billy Glick in his Red Fountain? Just some great side-by-side battles with Peter Meyer in the Hard Rock boat. It gives you a good shot of how rough it is. That's GC. They're currently in 4th place in 450R factory stock. And these boats are running nowhere near the speed they can normally run. It's pretty rough out there. You can see that was a big hop, big wheels, big nose carry by GC Racing. Of course, Grant Bruggerman and Willie Cabiza joining forces this year for the 2024 season. And very happy with each other. Like how each other doing the boat. Boat is running good. They're getting faster and faster and faster. Of course, Grant from Bradenton, Florida. His wife Kelly got to run the boat during the Lake of the Ozarks shootout on the 3/4 mile course, and she sent me a lovely text reminding me that she is not in the boat today and Willie has been put back in, although I said back and said she made her case to get her shot to go racing with her husband Grant Bruggerman. Looks like they are starting to make up a little bit of ground now on TS Motorsports as they start to get in within a rooster tail length behind the other MTI hull. Of course, Meade Family Racing and GC Racing are on the MTI Race Support Program. While the Meade family and GC own the boats, the MTI team, Milton and Jordan, actually get the boats to the races. They are kept at either one of the MTI locations up in Wentzville, Missouri, or down at Hullover in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And the MTI team transports them to the races. They have the crew that supports them. I know Craig Barrett of Barrett Custom Marine out on the West Coast is the crew chief for this GC Racing team, so he oversees the operations of the boat. But the MTI team supports the boat, helps get it to the races, gets it out of the water, in the water, cleans it, make sure it's ready to go. So all Willie has to do is show up, jump in it, and run it. They have done a lot of testing with the boat, though. That's one thing you get when you join forces with Grant. Grant's very methodical about the setup and the testing of his race boats, and they've been to Lake X quite a bit, done a lot of testing, got this boat really dialed in really, really fast, and really got this program together. And Willie Cabiz is really, really happy with their performance as they are starting to catch number 7 TS Motorsports. Actually got alongside of them there. They were on the outside, and it looks like they just hit a little bit bigger of a wave maybe than TS did and had to scrub a little bit more speed off. Let's see if they can make up that ground again. This will complete lap number 4 of 9, so we're past the halfway point. And here comes GC Racing again, carrying a lot more speed on the outside of the turn. Couple of big hops there for TS Motorsports. That's going to slow them, but there's one for GC. GC still able to pull alongside. Let's see if they can make the pass stick this time. Johnny and Taylor able to go a little bit faster on the inside as these boats are now side by side. Here goes GC Racing. They are trying to make a move. This is for 3rd place. Beautiful shot of the two MTI boats running side by side. Of course, GC Racing is a new boat. It was not one of Taylor's former boats. Willie Cabiza has a couple of MTI. Oh, big hop there. Stood it up on the end. TS Motorsports, big hop, really carried the bow. That was an interesting spot because there was no wind up under the tunnel there. They're kind of racing with the breeze. And now I only see one rooster tail. Let's hope they don't have some sort of mechanical issue. As they went up and it hit back down, that rolled over to their port side. Rode for a couple of feet on the port side and then straightened itself back out. Let's see if Johnny and Taylor can get it back together. Really stood the boat up quite high. Boat number 32 now comfortably in third place after what happened to TS Motorsports. Let's see if Willie and Grant can now go after the young guns in 151 Express. Lap number 5 now of 9. Montlick Injury Attorneys continues to lead in 450R factory stock. I don't think anything happened to Johnny and Taylor. They're able to keep going. Didn't really slow. I saw one rooster tail go up higher than the other. Maybe wonder if something happened. These boats don't have any ballast, so as they burn off weight, they're going to get lighter and lighter. And I think we might see that come into play here in these conditions. Quite choppy out, quite nasty out. Not even really a roller like we saw earlier during Class 1 qualifying. More of just a chop now. Really sloppy water, washing machine effect, if you would, tossing these boats around. Beautiful livery on this MTI. Of course, Taylor and her dad recovering from the shootout. A very busy week for the Missouri-based company, as that is their hometown waters. And Taylor actually offered her dock space and house for the shootout for the 2025 series at one of the auctions to benefit the Lake of the Ozarks shootout. Taylor always giving back to the sport, as she is the VP of Marine Technologies based out of Wentzville, Missouri. Boat number 7 getting it back together after a pretty scary moment there as they stood the boat up on the back. GC Racing comfortably now in third. And that whitewater you see there, that's probably 151 Express's whitewater, so they may be closer than you think. They got to stay out of that salt water. They don't want to get these 450Rs covered with salt, so they're going to stay out of that spray. And you can see they dove back to the inside, trying to find whatever clean water they could. Beautiful livery on this 39 MTI. Of course, Willie Cabiza's got a beautiful MTI center console as well. Grant's put a lot of time into this boat, and they've actually got the AIM system on the boat, and that will actually monitor their lap times. And as they go around, if it changes colors, it tells them they're going faster or slower based upon previous lap times. So a lot of technology being put into these boats. Grant's always kind of really pioneered the technology. Of course, he throttled for Wayne Valder in the Pro Floors boat in Super Cat. Wayne taking the year off after having some shoulder surgery earlier on in the season. Boat number 40 continues to lead. They've led since the start. They've rocketed away from that pace boat right off of the start, and they have not looked back. Logan Aiden and Giovanni Carpatella putting in the work here in Sarasota. Back to GC Racing. Let's see if we can get a replay now of what happened to TS Motorsports as they were battling, really hanging it out, trying to catch GC Racing. GC started to pull away from them just a little bit, and there was the big hop, stuffed it down. Very similar to what we saw happen to Austin Holmes in Sheboygan. Rolled it up on its side, had to get way out of the throttles, but Johnny able to keep it in the water. Good driving by Taylor and good throttling by Johnny to keep that MTI upright. As we look back now at boat number 40, Montlick Injury Attorneys that Doug Wright built right here in Florida. Building some beautiful pleasure boats, working with Justin Wagner of Waves and Wheels up the Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri. Big air there for 151 Express as they come around this turn as well. And there is GC Racing coming to the picture. These are your top 3 boats in 450R factory stock. But Doug Wright teamed up with Justin Wagner of Waves and Wheels out of Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri, building some beautiful custom boats. Beautiful paint and interior designs going into every single package. Interesting little hop there by Montlick. Kind of tripped up over one, threw the front down. Didn't stuff it or anything, but just landed a little more down than what they thought, but that just shows you really how nasty and choppy this water is. This is really going to wreak havoc on Superstock. In fact, these conditions remind me of what happened to Sean Connor and Sean Torrente a couple of years ago in their dug right hull when it stuffed and actually suffered significant damage during that. And I think these were very similar conditions. I wasn't at that race, but I think it was very similar conditions. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Superstock. 11 boats in Superstock. It is going to be crazy crowded on that start here in Sarasota. Boat number 40, Montlick Injury Attorneys, continues to lead onto lap number 6 of 9. 3 to go. And as long as Giovanni and Logan can keep it in the water, they have a nice lead and can run their race. Can't really find clean water, so all you can do is just kind of get through what you can get through. I don't think you could even really get a rhythm through it. I think it's just going to kick you wherever it wants to kick you. There's all kinds of little bumps out there that you really probably can't quite see. And the hazy conditions are probably not helping anything either. Becoming a race of attrition probably more than anything else. As we look at number 66, F66, 151 Express, Ian Morgan and Nick Impressia. The young guns, as I like to call them, that is the whitewater from Montlick that you see in your screen there. As they're going to try and just stay out of the salt mist spray. GC Racing now giving chase to 151 Express after TS Motorsports stood it up on the transom a little bit. They were able to save it, get back into the race, but lost a lot of ground to our third place position. As 151 Express gives chase to Montlick Injury Attorneys. Remember, you got to finish to win it. So while you may be thinking you got it in the bag, at any moment something could strike and take you out of the race. So whether you're in first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever, you got to stay in it. You got to finish to win it. They never want anything bad to happen to the boats in front of them, but mechanical issues, as we saw in Class 1 qualifying, are part of the sport and can happen at any moment. But all these teams are very well prepared. They're very methodical about their setups. They're really good at what they do. They're set up for these conditions, and they have the utmost confidence in their equipment to be able to go out and run in whatever they need them to run in as much as they need to run them. Of course, this has been a very, very busy boat all summer. This was at Lake of the Ozarks for the shootout. And I believe Logan ran this boat with someone from Montlick Injury Attorneys during the shootout, so I'm sure that was a good experience. As it looks like they are getting ready to lap one of our Super Vs. They are. That is Cortez Cove Fountain Racing. Out running with the 450R factory stock class, getting ready to put them a lap down. GC Racing now slowing and pulling to the inside of a course. Just when I started talking about a race of attrition, let's see what's going on with Willie and Grant. Can they get it? Is it a Guardian thing? Did something happen with Guardian? Are they able to reset it and get it up and going? They're not stopping, so they've still got power up, but now they're slowing a bit more. Not sure what happened to this team. Tough day for Willie and Grant as they were in a comfortable third place position. Of course, they are currently third place in points behind Hank's Saloon. And we haven't seen Hank's Saloon in a while. They were slow from the start. Not sure what happened to that team. There is Logan and Giovanni. They are just counting laps now in 450R factory stock Montlick Injury Attorneys Doug Wright. This is only Giovanni's second race with Logan. First race was in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. 1 day of racing up there. But heard from multiple people, Logan really grew up racing cars, all kinds of cars, dirt track, go-karts, everything, and he's very, very good at driving. And I hear it transferred over to the boat very, very well. So I'm sure it won't be, well, obviously they're leading today, so they've picked up right where they needed to for being a fairly new team together. Of course, Giovanni Carpatella from Italy, making the trip over to go racing here in Sarasota. This is the 40th annual Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix. 40 years in the making, racing here on beautiful Gulf of Mexico, beautiful Sarasota, Florida. Maybe even think of the memories I have in this town over the years, and just a ton of them, a ton of great memories. Lucy, who now works for P1, used to put on the race, and this was really the race, when you think about it, that started the parade downtown, if you would. Of course, we've always done it in Key West, but outside of Key West, this was a race that really pioneered the downtown parade and the downtown block party. I remember being on the Geico team and getting to ride the Geico street bikes down through the parade was always a good time, and this was one that really pioneered that. Of course, we do the party in the pits now, which was a great time last night over at Van Wetzel Park. Here is Cortez Cove Fountain Racing. They are currently in third place in Super V. Zachary Jordenzi and Kirk Brito in this fountain hull. Of course, this is one of the older generation fountains, look very similar to Britt Lilly and Kevin Smith's boat. And when you look at the Farnsworth Hancock Claims Consultant boats, that's more a little bit the new style, more cut down, lower profile deck, lower profile canopy. But these older fountains can still be very, very fast. It just takes a little bit more work to get them to that point. I know this team has been working on this boat quite a bit, trying to get it figured out and get it put together. And this is an uber competitive class. You're not going to come into it straight away and be fast, but they are doing the best they can, and they are out there getting it done in what are just not very nice conditions today here on the Gulf of Mexico. They should be on lap number 7 of 9 as well, so 2 to go in our first race of the day. Up next will be Super Stock, and that will wrap up day number 1 of racing. Tomorrow we kick it off with Class 1, 30 minutes plus 1 lap. Then we will have the bracket boats, then we'll have Mod V, and then Super Cat, as we get a great look at that beautiful fountain. Love the paint scheme on that boat. Of course, there is a pleasure boat that was owned by Bill Mazzoni that is for sale as well. Not by the family, but it almost has a very similar paint scheme. I believe it was a 42 Lightning, if I remember correctly. You can see the Artisan surface drives as the boat comes up out of the air there. Definitely not running it super hard in these conditions. Really no reason to. Don't know where Race Winning Brands is. They were currently in second in Mod V. I'm sorry, in Super V, not Mod V, Super V. $11 boats coming up in Super Stock. This is going to be a battle royale. Of course, remember back to Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Very exciting first turn. As early on, I thought it was maybe a mistake that Connor Toomey and Ryan Beckley had made, but it ended up being the Mom Ain't Happy team. As they went into the corner, they just couldn't hold their line and ended up slipping out and rode up over the Rooster Tails. There was also some contact between Tit for Tat and Steel on that start. That was a pretty eventful start there in Sheboygan for the start of Superstock. Let's hope we don't have the same thing here today. As we take a look at our X Insurance helicopter camera, beautiful deck shot of the Hancock's Claim Consultants team's Farnsworth entry. Of course, this is the first boat that Wynn and Christine bought, and they started going racing with it, and since then have expanded their reach more out to the sport. They sponsor Bulletproof, the Class 5 boat not here this weekend, and they also sponsor the Super Cat, or own the Super Cat number 9 entry, also named Team Farnsworth Hancock's Claims Consultants. Look at the white caps out there just to the upper right or left-hand side of your screen, rather. It's really quite bumpy, as this boat has engines built by Frank McComas out of Michigan. Frank been around for a long time. Actually watched a documentary about him and did not realize he was on the old Reliable Carriers team with Tom Abrams and Steve Curtis. I watch YouTube at night more than watching television, and I find these old powerboat shows to watch, and there was a documentary about the crew chiefs and the crews of offshore powerboat racing, and they followed Reliable Carriers, and they talked about the crew chiefs and the work they had to do, and Frank was featured in the show. It was a really good piece. Got to learn a little bit more about Frank McComas, who builds the engines for Team Farnsworth Hancock's Claim Consultants. They are your leaders in Super V. What's happening in 450R factory stock? Well, Montlick was continuing to lead, and really nobody was giving him chase. The young guns in 151 Express were trying to chase him down. GC Racing went out with a mechanical issue. Not sure what happened to them, so that actually should hand third place back over to TS Motorsports, who had a pretty hairy moment. Oh, I just got note that it looks like number 7 has pulled off the track, so TS Motorsports is now off the track as well. So really a race of attrition here, as Montlick Injury Attorneys continues to lead. 151 Express in second. Wait a minute, that's Hank's Saloon. Now, I don't know if Hank's Saloon got lapped. They have been really, really slow all race. They were slow off the start, and they still don't look super fast. So they may actually be going a lap down. If we could pan out from this shot a little bit, we might see 151 Express. They should be behind Montlick Injury Attorneys here in Sarasota. Starting lap number 8 of 9. And you can guarantee there's going to be some sore backs when they get out of these boats today. This has been a pretty rough race, pretty nasty conditions. Like I said, not a roller, not anything you can time or get a rhythm through. It's just a nasty chop. Really a race of attrition. And when these super stocks come out later today, this is going to be very interesting. These are very light boats, very flighty, and they're going to really bounce around in this wind quite a bit. I imagine we're probably going to have to refuel our helicopter after this race. So we'll take a little bit of time to do that, and then we'll bring you the last race of today. The 40th Annual Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix. There is TS Motorsports. They are under idle in the middle of the course. Have to wonder if that nose high incident maybe wreaked havoc a little bit later in the race. But, man, this Doug Wright looks great. It is perfectly flat, not carrying the bow at all. Just really finding its way over top of this chop very, very well as they have the X Insurance helicopter camera in tow. They exit the Monster Mile here on the southbound leg of the course on lap number 8. They head in around buoy number 6. They'll go buoy 6, 7, 8, and 9 before they start to head north again. Here is boat number 39, Hank's Saloon. They're currently sitting in second in points in 450R factory stock. So if 151 Express is still in second, it should be Meade Family Racing then in third if they are still out and running. Boat number 5. And maybe 39 in fourth. But if anything happens to Meade or 151 with TS and GC being out, then Hank Saloon not having the best day, but could find themselves up on the podium for just staying out there and staying running. And look at just how those Mercury 450Rs are shaking around as Montlick is really spanning across the top of them very, very nicely. Just really, really hard on these engines. But it does prove the reliability and the durability of the Mercury Racing package as they are really getting hammered here on the Gulf of Mexico. Got the X Insurance helicopter in tow, providing us this great aerial footage. Parker Lindsay and Rick Lindsay. I have to thank them once again for their continued support of offshore powerboat racing. So not seeing where 151 Express is. I don't know maybe now if Montlick's kind of just not going on cruise control, but they're in safe mode. They're in protection mode now. They just want to go out, want to run their race, don't have to push it any harder than what they want to. Just kind of set the speed, set the tone, and finish this race strong because they have led since the start. They rocketed away from the pace boat and never looked back and left everybody else to battle behind them. But a race of attrition has taken 2 of the MTIs, 2 of the most consistent teams in racing out. As it looks like Team Farnsworth Hancock's Claim Consultants, I believe they're going to put the Cortez Cove Fountain Racing team down a lap. And I'm wondering if I see race-winning brands anywhere in this shot. We're panned out pretty far and still don't see them, so they may be out with some sort of an issue as well. So lap number 8 of 9. So this time by over the finish line. This should be the white flag lap for 450R factory stock. Montlick Injury Attorneys continues to lead, just dominating this race. Obviously, they have a rough water setup that they are very, very comfortable with. Of course, a new team with Giovanni Carpatella and Logan Aiden meshing very, very well together. And have just run fantastic here in Sarasota. So they enter our north turn one more time. They will enter our reverse dogleg, cross the finish line, and begin lap number 9 to wrap up this race. Superstock up next, 11 boats in that race. And that's going to be super exciting in these conditions because it is by far calm out there. Oh no, 151 Express. They are now slowing on the inside of the course. It looks like they're cutting across the course. They could be heading back in. Looks like they've only got one motor running. So we're really going to have to see what's going on with the 450R factory stock. We know Montlick should be able to take the checkered flag without jinxing it too much, but what's happened behind them, it's hard to say at this point, because now all of the MTIs, except for Meade Family Racing, as far as I can tell from my vantage point, are out of this race. I mentioned it earlier, if anything happened to 151 or to Meade, that Hank Saloon could find themselves on the podium, and I think they're going to be able to do that. They're pretty far behind in points compared to this boat. Nothing they can really do to catch them. But in their first season racing, it'd be nice to get a solid podium finish for the year. As in November, they will head to a hometown race in Key West, Florida. Montlick's Injuries Attorneys enters this south leg one more time, headed towards the Monster Mile. They will take the white flag lap, or the white flag this time by, to start the final lap of this race. Got to finish to win it. So far, this team's been able to do it. Let's hope they can hold on till the end. Beautiful green, white, and blue livery. Giovanni Carpatella and Logan Aiden. Second race together. Pretty nasty conditions. And they have just run an awesome, consistent race since the beginning. So now it could be Meade Family Racing in second and Hank Saloon in third. There could be only 3 out of 6 boats finishing in this 450R factory stock class. And there is the white flag lap from our start-finish boat. From our finished boat, so that will be for Montlick. Normally our teams will pick up a checkered flag once the race is over, but I think the conditions are a little bit too rough to allow for that today. There is the Monster Mile buoy. Of course, Monster energy drink, the official energy drink of P1 Offshore Racing Unleash the Beast. That hatch, I think that hatch closed for a couple of minutes, and now it's popped back open. So you got to wonder if it's how they're running on the course and how the air is wrapping around the boat, forcing the hatch to come up. But it didn't look like it was open every time I saw it. But last time I did see it open, it was on this part of the course. As it is getting pinched up with the air. The Mercury 450R is bouncing around quite a bit. You saw a little black hose there. That is actually an equalizer line between the two motors. When the boats turn, they do this in super stock as well. When these boats turn, it actually shifts the water so hard to one side that line across the tie bar, some are in the tie bar, some are zip tied to the tie bar, that helps equalize the water pressure between the two motors as the boats go around the turns. As this is going to be one happy team in the pits if they can hang on to it. Giovanni Carpatella and Logan Aiden, Montlick Injury Attorneys, poised to take the win here in Sarasota. Of course, their sponsor Montlick always bringing a good group of people to the races, and I'm sure they're going to be quite happy with this boat's performance today. It should be Meade Family Racing in second. If anybody could find that boat just to see how they're doing, and possibly Hank Saloon in third. As TS Motorsports went out, 151 Express went out, GC Racing went out. As we look at another Doug Wright. So it could be 2 Doug Wrights and 1 MTI finishing here in Sarasota. This boat, unfortunately, super fast. Second in points, just not on the pace today. Don't know if they had a mechanical issue right out of the gate, but they have been slow the entire race. Not calming down out there at all, so I think we're going to get to see some pretty exciting racing in Superstock coming up next here in Sarasota. 11 boats taken to the course. A very diverse group of boats. You've got some victory hulls. You've got an S2 powerboat with Sean Connor and Sean Torrente. You've got some Doug Wright hulls in this group. You've got S21 Performance Boat Center, Myrick Coyle and Rusty Williams making their return. We haven't seen this boat since Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri. Of course, based out of Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri, Performance Boat Center, the biggest offshore powerboat dealer in the world. Just don't sell offshore powerboats. They sell pontoon boats and pretty much anything they can get their hands on. They are not afraid to sell. If you ever get the chance to check out their facility out there at Lake of the Ozarks, I highly recommend it. It is a spectacular sight to see out in Missouri. So I saw Hank Saloon. I have not seen Meade Family Racing yet. And as I look at our scoring, I have not seen boat number 5. Oh, I'm sorry, I do see it right now. Okay, so number 5 is out taking on water. So we have 2 boats remaining here in 450R factory stock. 2 Doug Wright, Motlech Injury Attorneys, and Hank's Saloon. So they're going to finish how they currently stand in points, so nothing will change as far as that's concerned. Now everybody else behind them, as far as points are concerned, it's going to be how long they ran, how many laps they did. Our race officials, Rich Dancision, our chief referee, Mark Austin, assistant chief referee, Val Fiorillo, will figure all that out later. That's not for me to talk about at all. I just don't think I'm that smart to figure it all out because it's very complicated. Motlech Injuries Attorneys head south one more time. The beautiful 39 Doug Wright poised to take the checkered flag here at the 40th annual Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix. Going to be a Doug Wright podium here, going 1-2 as the MTIs all now out with mechanical issues. Boat number 5, it looks like that happened on lap number 6, so I apologize I didn't see that, but lap number 6, it looks like boat number 5 was out taking on water. Really a rough day here. I haven't seen race-winning brands either. We'll see if we can get some sort of update on them. And there is Motlech, so they should be headed towards the finish boat, getting ready to take that checkered flag. It was Team Farnsworth Hancock Claims Consultant. They were leading in Super V. As it looks like Cortez Cove, boat number 75, is completing lap number 8. Big wide sweeping turn down there. There is the checkered flag. Congratulations, Motlech Injury Attorneys, your winners in 450R factory stock. There they go. Congratulations, Logan Naden and Giovanni Carpatella. Second race together, and they were able to take the win in incredibly adverse conditions. Not an easy race by any stretch of the imagination here in Sarasota, as only 2 boats finished this entire fleet. Out of 6, 2 boats finished. You got to finish to win it. That's the name of the game. And that worked out for Hank's Saloon, as they will come in second place and get up on the podium with their sister ship Doug Wright team. Motlech Injury Attorneys, your winners in 450R factory stock. So we still have Super V out there running. It was Team Farnsworth Hancock Claims Consultants. They were leading in Super V. It's been so long since I've announced a Super V race, I just keep calling it Mod V. Just not very smart. As a beautiful look there at the white coral sandy beaches, the VIP hospitality tent offered by P1. Go to P1Offshore.com and get your VIP tickets tomorrow. I'm sure there are still some spaces available for you to go out and enjoy some lovely food, lovely beverage right on the beach, and be right center of the action here in Sarasota. Lots of racing coming to you tomorrow. We have Class 1 kicking it off. We have the bracket classes. We've got Mod V and Super Cat taking place tomorrow here in Sarasota. So this should be the checkered flag for the Mod V team of Team Farnsworth Hancock's Claim Consultants. Elijah Kingery and Anthony Smith, they have led since the start. And I can just judge by the attitude of that fountain. They are not running it hard. They've got it trimmed in, just kind of letting it plow through the waves a little bit. Still airing it out, but just no reason to run this boat hard at this point, be any harder on the equipment than what they need to be. This team will be in Clearwater and then in St. Pete as we wrap up our season. Good run for Anthony Smith, though. Was able to jump in this boat, take the early lead, and will take the win in Super V. Big split of water there on the bow. Just shows you how rough it is. Beautiful Fountain Hall. The only Arneson surface drives powered boat in the class right now. There are a couple more boats with surface drives out there in the fleet. It'd be great to see them come out and start racing again as Super V starts to grow as it was back in the day. And there is the checkered flag. Oh, sorry, that's a turn buoy, not the checkered flag. For Team Farnsworth Hancock's Claims Consultant. They enter the Monster Mile for the last time. There's the checkered flag for our Super V team. They take home the win. and we will sort out who finished where behind them. I know Cortez Cove Fountain Racing was still running. I did not get to see race-winning brands if we can pan back out. Oh, there's my note. That's worked out really well, hasn't it? It looks like race-winning brands, pulled off into the center on lap number 5. So about halfway through, they went out with an issue. So it should be Cortez Cove Fountain Racing in second behind Team Farnsworth. Hancock Claims Consultant here, his Hank's Saloon. They will come now in second place. You got to finish to win it. They will maintain second in points, barring any sort of infractions, but I just can't see what there would be at this point unless it's an inspection infraction. This boat has just been slow since the start. Not sure what happened. But they stayed with it. They stayed in it. And it looks like it's going to pay off for Kobe and Edwin as they take the checkered flag. Second place in 450R factory stop. Wrapping up race number 1 here today, Saturday in Sarasota. Up next will be Super Stock. 11 boats will take to this race course for our final race of the day. We will be back tomorrow, 10:30, for our first race of the day, which will be Class 1, 30 minutes plus 1 lap. Now, Hank's Saloon is a lap down, so they will have to probably complete this lap simply because of the fact that in order to secure second, they're going to have to run more distance than any of the other boats that went out with a mechanical issue. And I don't know how far the rest of the fleet got around them, so they may have to run this extra lap just to make up the distance. There is your Montlick Injury Attorneys Doug Wright team. Looks like maybe Logan up on the canopy. I don't know if we'll do checker flags here because it is pretty bumpy out there. You can see how much that patrol boat behind them is rolling around, so I don't think they'll take the chance of trying to get a checkered flag handed off to anybody. And actually, that looks like a Montlick Injury Attorneys jersey there. That might be their support boat. Looks like an airship rib hull. Let's go back and take a look at some highlights of what was a pretty rough water race from the start. Montlick Injury Attorneys just rocketed out of the gate, pulled right away from the pace boat, and this team never looked back. They just dominated the entire race. TS Motorsports, scary moment right here for Johnny and Taylor as they stood it up, laid it down on its side, but they continued to race for as long as they could, but they went out with a mechanical issue. Wow, scary moment there as they stood it up, kind of stuffed it on that one side. GC Racing out with an issue. Here is your winner in Super V. The Team Farnsworth Hancock's Claim Consultants team taking the win in Mod Super V. I'll get it right eventually, I promise. 151 Express, the Young Guns ran a great race, but they also went out with a mechanical issue. Well, there are your winners in 450R factory stock, wrapping up race number 1. We will take a short break here momentarily and bring you Super Stock. I think we're going to have to refuel the helicopter after this. So we could be about a half hour to 40 minutes until our next race. You're watching the 40th annual Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix, put on by P1 Offshore. P1 sponsors Monster Energy Drink, Unleash the Beast, Beast Mercury Racing, Sunoco Race Fuels, Myco Trailers, X Insurance providing our helicopter footage today, Good Boy Vodka, Visit St. Pete Clearwater, ICOM, RCR Construction, Satori Cheese, JF Ahern, National Exchange Bank, Abyss Batteries, and Experience Kissimmee are P1 sponsors. Thanks to Ozam and Michelle, the entire P1 staff. Off to a great start here in Sarasota. Looking forward to more racing action. All right, we're going to go to a commercial break. We'll get an update from Race Control, and we will let you know when we'll start our next race. We'll be back right after this.
I used to toss a coin in the waterfalls in the wishing well. Now I get plenty coin, some self-made. You ain't gotta wish me well. You ain't like me then, but I guess it's past tense, cause you tapped in. You was never who you said. I see the facade when looking at really need. I can tell my guard up. I ain't taking nails. If it's not in my favor, won't sign a deal. I got the royalty in the mill. I got authority in the field. Take a look in my iris. I be precise with the timing. I never know where my mind went.
Let's make every day a beach day. Let's induce some serious vacation envy. Let's make it look like we've done this before. Let's reconnect. Let's get it fresh from the Gulf. Let's shine in St. Pete Clearwater.
There are your winners in 450R factory stock. Montlick injury attorneys Giovanni Carpatella and Logan Aiden just dominating that race. Never looked back from the start. Congratulations to them here in Sarasota. So the Superstock teams have left the boat ramp from what I understand. So we have about a 15 or a 20-minute idle out to the race course. Going to be very choppy conditions. Very exciting about this race. Let's go back and take a look at what has become one of my favorite race sites, Sheboygan, Wisconsin. We were there just about a month ago.
This will be the first Class 1 race of the day. Can DeFalco hold on to that pole position after running that smoking hot lap in qualifying? Again, they have their start buoy, so they know exactly when they're going to start. As we are waiting to start, and I believe we do have a start. Rooster tails are up, boats are flying, we're going racing. DeFalco on the inside, that's Monster Energy MCon in second, DF Young, Good Boy Vodka third, and X Insurance all the way on the outside. Matt, what are Britt and Randy thinking right now?
Let's see what we can do.
Hang on.
You know, I mean, this is basically a new boat for them.
Yep.
I mean, and they're a new team, really.
Here's what we expected, DeFalco and Monster Energy MCon, but look at DF Young, Good Boy Vodka on the outside. Carried a tremendous amount of speed as they head into this first turn. Need to maintain their lanes. DeFalco starts to get some separation, Monster Energy MCon. DF Young just to the outside of them. They are side by side. It looked like DeFalco went out a little bit wider maybe than Monster Energy MCon anticipated, and did Monster Energy MCon cut back to the inside? I think they did. Hard to tell. Nope, I think they were still in there. I think I saw a flash of black. And Alex can kind of control the narrative through that corner if you would, and maybe push MCon a little bit wider and carry some speed. Let's see if it pays off. X Insurance is watching this happen in front of them. DeFalco continues to lead into the south end of the course. Let's see what happens with Monster Energy MCon. This team has picked up where they left off in qualifying. They can go out and run clean water and run their race. Yeah, Matt, and see, it's definitely laid down because they're definitely running more pin to pin than they were running out wide.
Less of a slide, more of a quick slide than a long drift.
So as we watch DeFalco come across and complete lap number 1, they are your leaders. Now look at Monster Energy MCon. They're the boat all the way to the right-hand side of your screen. That's DF Young, Good Boy Vodka all the way to the inside. Wonder what caused that to go down as it did. Now, DF Young, see, they're kind of running to me what looks to be like a middle of the course line. Maybe they like that area with the wind and the breeze. Let's see what happens with second place, so that's going to be the battle to watch. I think it's going to be MCon, Monster Energy MCon. I don't know, Matt. They're kind of really close to each other. I don't know if they're going to leave a whole bunch of room there.
Not a lot.
They did, though, it looks like. They left just enough room to eke on the inside of that rooster tail. And sometimes you don't have, Matt, sometimes you don't have to pinch them off. Sometimes you just make them go slow enough.
Yeah.
You don't have to take their line away. If they scrub off more speed going through the corner, that allows you to pull away from them just a little bit. Now they're going to go into pin. And I expect to see Good Boy Vodka, DF Young, jump back to the outside. They had no place to go there. Myrick ran it right to that orange buoy. So now they've got some separation between 1, 2, and 3. DeFalco is your leader. Monster Energy MCon now in second. DF Young, Good Boy Vodka, different conditions of water. So that has put this boat into second place. Monster Energy MCon. Okay, there is your leader, DeFalco. So let's see if Rich and Alex have something to make up towards the end of this race, if they can get a little bit lighter. They are the biggest boat in the class, and they mentioned that during their post-qualifying interview. Great shot of that skater there, actually past Peter Ledden, his son, walking through the hallway of the Blue Harbor here. So I'm sure Peter's watching somewhere in the building. As Myra Coral and Tyler Miller. You'll see both of these guys tomorrow in Super Cat in the MCon Monster Energy boat. They are one of the dominant teams in Super Cat right now. Matt, DF Young, Good Boy Vodka, those not letting go easily, are they?
Very tight for second place.
And if they could drive a little bit harder to that corner, I think they might be able to make a pass on the inside.
I think MConn's just going to shut it down.
Not shut down the bad way. You mean just close the door?
Yes.
Close the door.
Close the door.
Shut it down could be deemed as a bad term. DF Young definitely lost some ground there. They were within a rooster tail length behind Monster Energy MConn, but now they seem to lose a little bit of pace to that front group as DeFalco has the X Insurance helicopter in tow as we are coming up on the 21-minute mark of the 30-minute race. Monster Energy MConn, they have kind of really separated themselves from DF Young Good Boy Vodka. I will admit, DF Young Good Boy Vodka, to me, looks better now than they did in qualifying. Boat looks faster. Engine hatch flapping around there just a little bit.
Well, I think that, Rich Wyatt of DF Young went in and said, we're going to do some more stuff. I think he said that in his doc interview. They knew a few things that they were going to make a change on.
Billy Moore and Mike Falco. Mike Falco owns the construction company up in New York City, which explains the livery on the side of the boat. Now, this team, you saw an Outer Limits catamaran here last year, and Billy was his throttle man at that time. And I believe they almost spun the boat out. I think it was in the northern turn. That is a good shot of your top three boats. That's DeFalco in the lead, Monster Energy MConn in second, DF Young Good Boy Vodka in third. And Matt, I'm wondering, where is X Insurance? Okay, they're way back in the turn. There's X Insurance right there, just entering the turn now. So Randy and Britt are still out. Matt, these boats are still crab walking just a little bit. You can see it with MConn there. Yeah. Myrick's having to drive into the wind. This boat just didn't quite handle the breeze the way that Myrick and Tyler thought it would.
Yeah, they felt it was a little loose. It doesn't look at all loose now.
No. DeFalco, your unofficial winner in Class 1. The Monster Energy MConn will come in second. DF Young Good Boy Vodka in third. And X Insurance is going to come around in fourth.
Oh, they have to be happy. That's fantastic.
And the results for race number 1 find X Insurance in the 4th position. In third, the DF Young Good Boy Vodka machine. Then Monster Energy MConn in second. And congratulations to Team DeFalco, their first win of the season.
Rated M for mature.
Who are you counting on? Hey. Who are you leaning on? Who are you counting on? Hey. So, whoa. Hey, they tryna block all my blessings. They thought I lost the snapping. I bet on me and my team. ISO is what I'm rapping. Who are you counting on? Scanning. Rising up, pushing up to the summit. Got the keys to the show, yeah, we run it. To the place for the race, and we don't race. Give it all for the win, this is our day. The inner beast, energy, welcome to the top, see you at the peak, unleash, the inner beast, but we never stop, to the victory. I used to toss a coin in the waterfalls, in the wishing well, now I get plenty coin, but I'm self-made, you ain't gotta wish me well, you ain't like me then, but I guess it's past tense, cause you tapped in, you was never who you said, I see the facade, when looking it really be like you could tell, my guard up, I ain't taking nails, if it's not in my favor, won't sign a deal, I got the royalty in the mail, I got authority in the field, take a look in my iris, I be precise with the timing, I never know where my mind went.
Mercury Racing was forged in the heat of competition. The will to win is in our DNA. Competition isn't just what we do, it's our proving ground. It's about the pursuit of power, performance, and endurance that pushes our limits and yours. We create premium marine power to take you faster and farther. The world offers limits. Mercury Racing offers freedom. Live wide open.
It takes your breath away. That's how you can tell you found the perfect vacation.
It doesn't get any bigger.
A place that opens your eyes and your spirits.
It's a Kissimmee thing.
This is your getaway, your escape. Recharging, rediscovering, reconnecting.
Welcome to Kissimmee.
However you spin it, never forget what's at the heart. It's big and it's bold, day after day.
Welcome to Kissimmee, the big, bold heart of Florida.
The big, bold heart of Florida.
Let's make every day a beach day. Let's induce some serious vacation envy. Let's make it look like we've done this before. Let's reconnect. Let's get it fresh from the Gulf. Let's shine in St. Pete Clearwater. She won't remember her first word. She won't remember her first steps. But she'll never ever forget her first wave. Plan your trip at DaytonaBeach.com.
For over 60 years, ICOM has been your trusted companion, keeping you connected on the water, in the air, and on the ground. Whether you need a two-way radio for your cruiser, center console, personal watercraft, or anything in between, ICOM has you covered with the most innovative marine, amateur, aviation, land mobile, LTE, and satellite network products.
Insurance sucks, and we think so too. Why? Because traditional policies don't provide complete coverage, leaving you to deal with the holes and gaps. But not anymore. X Insurance's True Umbrella and True Homeowners are a true partner, covering any potential gaps and exclusions. With X Insurance's True Umbrella and True Homeowners policy, you will experience true insurance when compared to traditional policies. Contact us today or ask your agent about X Insurance.
Welcome back to the Sarasota Grand Prix. I have found myself what I think to be one of the best spots. I'm out here in the middle of the course, and as you can see behind me, these super stock boats are rolling out. They're getting ready to go. The conditions out here, let's talk about it. We drove all the way out here. It is a little bit choppy. You can see those whitewash coming over the waves, so it's going to be quite a race, but I think these boats can handle it. So let's head up to the booth, and let's see how the race is looking. Mike, up to you.
Thank you, Taylor. Hope you get to enjoy the view out there. Does look a little bit bumpy, although it looks like it may have laid down just a little bit from our previous race as we get ready to go super stock racing. 11 boats here in Sarasota. If anybody remembers the first turn and the excitement we had in Sheboygan, well, I don't think this race will disappoint by any means. They will not do a parade lap. What they may do, they talked about in the driver's warning, is they may do a mill circle where they gather up and mill so they can get everybody kind of sorted out. With 11 boats, it really takes a lot to get the boats lined up, so there was talk about them taking a mill circle, but we'll see what they do. Let's run through a lineup. Boat number S1, Allied Construction, Sean Connor and Sean Torrente. Boat number S14, Professional Plumbing, Connor Toomey and Ryan Beckley. S89, Big East Construction, Cole Leibel and Gary Ballou. Boat number S43, Celsius, Chris Hopgood and Jay Muller. Boat number 39, Coco's Monkey, AJ Bogino and Peter Bogino. S42, Jackhammer, Reese Landheim and Julian Maldonado. Boat number S77, North Wing Offshore, Darren Kitteridge and Casey Boaz. S21, Performance Boat Center, Fast Diesel Fuel Systems, Myra Coyle and Rusty Williams. S3, Steel Offshore Racing, Ricardo Maldonado and Ricky Maldonado in that boat. Boat number S17, Team Allen Lawn Care Landscaping, Randy Keys and Billy Allen. And last but not least, boat number S25, Team Bermuda, GL Construction, David Seeley and Stephen Bridges in that Doug Wright hull. Well, I can tell you right now, Coco's Monkey and Team Bermuda GL Construction are two very, very fast teams. They have found their speed within those boats. They've got it figured out, and they are wicked fast. I look for good things out of that group today. But if I had to pick a winner here in Super Stock, you'd almost have to go with Jackhammer. They've been the most dominant team all season long, although not doing quite as well as they've normally at the back half of the season. But I expect Reese and Julian to pick it up. As you see, Steel Industries there. The red boat, our other red boat, going to be Jackhammer. So I thought they were going to take him to a mill. The pace boat does slow there. They are also going to run 9 laps for 54 miles. This will be the last race of the day. The pace boat slows, so maybe not a mill. Maybe just slow them up, get them down off a plane, and get them to line up. You've got a whole big group of boats there to the back. As one of the things that the Super Stock class always talks about is the start, making sure that they don't hold them for too long. They want to let them go early enough so they can. They want them to go early enough so they have time to race down to that first corner. The longer you hold them, they just won't have as good of a drag race, won't get separated before they get to that first turn. So they really like to be released early. But that's all based upon how they get lined up. These teams will have poles, and they will have to maintain that lane through the first corner. That's what we saw go down in Sheboygan. I called it as being what I thought to be Ryan Beckley and Connor Toomey making a mistake, but it actually ended up being the Mom Ain't Happy team, the ones that just messed up in the corner a little bit, slid out, and made it look like some other things had happened. But at the end of the day, we were able to finish the race course. Northwing S77 went over. Celsius went over. They were our leaders in Sheboygan. Remember, they were out to a very dominant early lead, running a great race. Chris Hopgood, Jay Muller doing a fantastic job. And then they went into the far end, or the south end of that course in Sheboygan, and ended up rolling it. So they are getting lined up. There you see the orange cigarette pace boat with the yellow flag up, trying to get these boats to get in their respected positions before they get up on plane. This is a pretty long straightaway, so we've got some distance here. We've got about 3 miles, about 2.5 miles on this back straightaway as we head north in the Gulf of Mexico. But that 2.5 miles won't last long once these boats are up and running. Still pretty choppy out there. I think the wind has laid down quite a bit. These are similar to conditions of what we saw during Class 1 qualifying, but still a pretty good breeze. I still think it's going to be a very interesting race. Might be pretty hairy for these boats running north here on the Gulf of Mexico as they pack air under these tunnels and that breeze pushes them up. Got to get that rear group up to the front. Got to get that whole group off to the left to move up and kind of line up. You see that green boat? That's Big East Construction. Got to get this group to come together. This is what they were talking about doing a mill circle, was trying to get everybody to move together as one, and really just struggling to do it here in Sarasota. Diver helicopters in tow. And you'll have to apologize. I apologize. I don't have pole positions, but it looks like Northwing is going to be on the pole and Celsius in second. So that makes me believe that they've reversed the finishing order of what went down in Sheboygan, because these two boats did not finish after having incidents on the course. That looks like starter Jim Jackson on that orange cigarette. He is probably yelling over the radio, telling these boats to get in line, get up here alongside of him so everybody can see that flag. He will hold them as long as he needs to in order to get them to line up. That is Northwing. Celsius. There is Steel. Steel Industries, run by Ricardo Maldonado and Ricky Maldonado. Of course, Manatee Marine, right here on the east coast of Florida. Hometown race for these boys. Dominic Steele owns that boat. Don't know who that is to the immediate left of the screen. Talked to Gary Ballou for a while yesterday. He is a throttle man in Big East Construction. And he told me they're getting very comfortable with that boat. He doesn't think that boat has, he thinks they're getting everything they can out of the boat. It's very fast. He's very comfortable with it. Of course, he used to own that boat. Now Cole Leibel owns it, but, he's very happy. He said, I really feel like we're in a good spot, picking up some speed in the boat, getting the setup right. So I'm interested to see what they can do out here today. One of the Victory hulls racing here in Sarasota. Of course, Celsius is a Doug Wright. Northwing is a Doug Wright. Steel, I believe, is a Victory as well. Doug Wrights and Victory hulls here in Super Stock. P1 Offshore Racing, 40th Annual Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix. P1 sponsors Monster Energy Drink, Unleash the Beast, Mercury Racing, Sunoco Race Fuels, Myco Trailers, X Insurance. Thank you, Rick Lindsay and Parker Lindsay, for providing our helicopter footage today. Good Boy Vodka, Visit St. Pete Clearwater, ICOM, RCR Constructions, Sartori Cheese, JF Ahern, National Exchange Bank, Abyss Batteries, and Experience Kissimmee. And we had a note, it looks like we were waiting for our X Insurance helicopter to come back online. Maybe that's why we're holding them. So I apologize if I was a little bit harder on these super stock teams than I should have been. But a fairly long idle at this point as these boats bounce around. Northwing Offshore, Darren Kitteridge and Casey Boaz in boat number 77. Of course, Casey Boaz used to race with Rob Understall in Super Stock and CR Racing. They have since moved up to Super Cat. Grant Bruggerman was running with Darren last year. Grant wanted to solely focus his efforts on GC Racing, so Darren called up Casey and said, would you race with me? Casey agreed, and they are doing very well. Top three in points in Super Stock is Jackhammer, GL Construction Bermuda, and Celsius, your top three in points. As now it looks like the group starts to come together. So we'll see if we get our helicopter out there and get this race underway. It doesn't look like 11 boats, but I guess they're all bunched in there. Beautiful day here on the beach in beautiful Sarasota, Florida. If you have the chance, if you're listening live and live anywhere in the state of Florida, we'd love for you to come back down, enjoy the races. Go to P1Offshore.com. You can still pick up some VIP tickets, get down there in the tent, get you some food, get you some beverage. Really, the best place to watch a race is going to be right there in that VIP tent. And I apologize. Steel is a Faza hull. I apologize. It does look like a Victory. They're fairly similar. But Big East Construction is a Victory hull, and so is Jackhammer. The other boat we have here is the S2 powerboats. That's Sean Connor and Sean Torrente, built in-house by Sean Torrente. That is the silver boat that sits in the middle. Kind of hard to see on this screen here. Got Performance Boat Center Fast Diesel Fuel Systems, Myrick Coral, Rusty Williams. Second time we've seen that team race this year. They did race in Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri. And now coming back in Sarasota. Of course, Performance Boat Center used to run Super Cat. Myra Coral and Johnny Tomlinson, multi-time world and national champion in that class. Rusty and Myrick very busy after their Lake of the Ozarks shootout week, going 200 plus miles an hour in Slug Hefner's Dirty Duck Skater. Congratulations to both of them on a great run. Of course, American Ethanol, 221 miles per hour on a 3/4 mile course. That is incredible, incredible speeds. If anybody remembers, Sheikh Hassan and Steve Curtis actually went 244, and that course was a 1 mile course. So to go 221 to basically be essentially, let's say, 20 miles an hour slower on a quarter less mile course is really, really fast. So congratulations to the American Ethanol team. Now the pace boat gets up and going. And very quickly, the Super Stocks jump up on plane. Don't know who that is to the back. But I know if that is Jim Jackson, he will hold them until he gets them where he wants them and gets them lined up. They have to be 100 feet behind the pace boat. They cannot jump or broach up on the pace boat, and they will have to maintain their lane through the first corner. Yellow flag still up. Still pretty bumpy out there. I think this is going to be a very exciting race. One you're not going to want to miss. Can Jackhammer take the win? Green flag going racing. Super Stock, 11 boats, drag racing to the first corner in the Gulf of Mexico. Have to maintain their lanes. Let's see how that goes. That is Celsius. I believe that is Northwing's Rooster Tail. You're seeing just to the right of our screen. There is Steel. There is Jackhammer, Big East, and Allied Construction all in the middle here. Not going to have a long run to this northern turn. So not going to be a lot of separation. Inside boat's going to have to maintain their lane through the corner. That's going to be Northwing. They're going to control it. They've got a pretty sizable lead already, about a rooster tail length ahead. Hard to say. I can't tell quite who is in second. But it looks like Big East Construction falling back. The bright green boat, easy to spot. Whoa, big hop there by somebody. That's whoever's in second place. That might be Jackhammer. Stood it up and set it down on the tail. Just because I say it's who it is doesn't mean that's who it is, because it's very hard for me to see. There is Celsius. There is Allied Construction. I believe they are battling for third. It looks like Allied starting to pull away now from Celsius. It was Northwing S77 in the lead. There they are. The Doug Wright hull used to be the Hulk. Darren Kittredge and Casey Boaz. There is Jackhammer. So that was them on the outside. Reese Landheim and Julian Maldonado. They are a dominant team in this class, and they are on the outside of Northwing. Northwing can control the corner, though. They can push them out if they need to, but they got to, again, they've got to try and maintain their lane, but it's pretty hard to do when you can't see really what's going on behind you. They have rear view cameras, but it's so bumpy and choppy, it's going to be kind of hard to focus on what's going on. There's the rest of the pack as Big East is on the outside. Big hop there. There is Steel, Celsius. So right now, it's Northwing in the lead. Jackhammer in second, and I believe Big East is going to be in third on the outside, although it might be Allied Construction. Big chop there. It's pretty rough. Now, see that boat that just came into your shot, the red one? That's Allen Lawn Care Landscaping. That is a team that loves this type of water. That boat will eat this water up. He's a little bit farther behind, but they really love a rough water race, and I expect Randy and Bill, if they can keep that boat running and keep that boat flat, they could possibly make up quite a bit of ground on this group. But it is super duper rough out there. Just some big air there from Allen Lawn Care Landscaping. That's Professional Plumbing on the inside of them. S14, Connor Toomey and Ryan Beckley. Of course, Ryan Beckley out of Bradenton, Florida. Connor Toomey out of Cambridge, Maryland, up on the eastern shore of Maryland. There is Celsius and Steel. And I believe that's Allied. So Allied has actually separated themselves from Celsius and Steel just a little bit. There is Big East. Big East slowed on that north straightaway, but really found some speed through that corner. 9 laps, 54 miles. This will complete lap number 1, start lap number 2. Northwing has pulled away slightly from Jackhammer. Not a lot, though. If Jackhammer can carry the speed on the outside, they could make the pass. But, man, these boats are getting a lot of air, bouncing around quite a bit. Northwing is a bit taller of a boat. By this perspective, it looks like Jackhammer's in the lead. So again, our camera angles change what we see. Rain has cleared out, blue skies coming. Really thought that once that rain pushed through, the wind would lay down, but it doesn't appear to do that at all. And it has stayed pretty rough. They enter the Monster Mile for the first time in this 9-lap race. Jackhammer in the lead. Northwing, after flipping in Sheboygan, now currently running in second. Here is Steel, boat number S3. They are currently running in fourth. Actually, maybe fifth. I apologize, because I believe Jackhammer first, Northwing second, and Big East was in third. We should see Big East come into the screen any minute now, just to the right. There they are, and that's actually Allied Construction. They are currently running in fourth. There is Steel in fifth. What happened to Celsius? Celsius, they were right up there with this group. There they are. And they're going to have to contend with a boat now. Hard to tell who that is. Great shot of these boats getting air through the corners. That's Sean Torrente, Sean Connor, Allied Construction, Gary Ballou, Cole Leibel, and Big East Construction. Look at Allied trying to carry a lot of speed around that corner, getting some big air, running good though. This is a one-off boat. They have built a couple of them, I will say, but they're doing a lot of testing and tuning on this boat, and I actually looked at it the other day, and they made some more bottom changes to it since the last time I saw it. So an ever-evolving race boat, if you would, but they have now moved in to third place. That's a Victory hull, boat number S89. Cole Leibel out of Canada, Gary Ballou out of Florida. Of course, Gary Ballou, a national and multi-time world champion, and when I say world champion, he used to run XCAT overseas. Very successful team over there. There is big hop there by Allied. Set it down the back corner. And I just saw something fly off of Allied. I'm not sure what it was. but it was some sort of black piece that came off. Maybe there's an access panel on the top of these 300R Mercury Racing outboard engines, and it could have been that access panel maybe blowing off. Doesn't look to have slowed Allied at all, though. But it did give, I think, Big East now third place. Jackhammer, looks like they are in the lead in Superstock, lap number 2 of 9. So maybe Northwing behind this group. The Victory hulls are very good rough water hull. They run flat, run very, very level. Look at Steel, though. Where did that speed come from in Steel? Holy cow. Big hop there by them. They've really shot out of a cannon on this back straightaway. Let's look at a replay now. This might be of the Allied. Yep, there it is. Big hop, lay it down over the side. Yeah, they lost a couple of pieces off of the boat there. There was something that fell in the water. It looks like maybe the cowling. Hard to tell. There it is. They set it back down. Oh, maybe, oh, you know what that was? They have diverters that sit in front of the engines. And what that does is, because these boats sit so low in the water, that will actually help. If any water takes aim at the engine, it'll actually divert the water around it. It looks like they ripped one of those off. That's those little pieces of fiberglass you see directly in front of the engines on Steel and Victory. They're like deflectors, if you would, fenders, to keep water off of the engine. But again, it's just because these boats are so low in the back. But I think that's what Steel may have ripped off, because it didn't look like it was on the starboard side of the boat. Great shot of now what is a three-way battle for third place. Jackhammer pulling away from Northwing. Lap number 2. Look at this again. They got to stand it up right there. Oh, nope. Mistimed that one a little bit. Oh, this was Steel. I'm sorry. This was Steel getting shot out of the cannon. Coming up now, starting to scrap with Allied and Big East Construction. Tremendous amount of speed there. Got to wonder maybe if Big East, well, we know Allied had the big hop. That's what looks like they ripped part of their boat off. Oh, no. Northwing is down. Northwing is down on the north end of this course right as you enter the turn. And they have stopped. Darren Kitteridge and Casey Boaz, after a great start, have now succumbed to some sort of mechanical issue. I think that was professional plumbing getting by them. There is Steel. Steel running way out towards the beach. Not sure what they're looking for over there. Maybe trying to get some separation from what all this is. So that's Big East Construction. There is Allied. And I'm trying to see who that is on the inside. That might be professional plumbing. Kind of hard to tell from our vantage point as we start to run south here, completing lap number 2. That is. Look at professional plumbing. Ryan Beckler, Connor Toomey. They were not in this shot the last time by, but they have started to pour on some speed, just like Steel did. And now they find themselves battling for third place. And actually now this is the battle for second. I apologize. This is the battle for second with Northwing out. Jackhammer is out to a dominating lead, and now this is the race for second place. Big East Construction, Professional Plumbing, Steel, and Allied Construction. All going after the number 2 spot. Now I imagine Steel is somewhere down very low on our screen. They ran a really wide line through that turn. Not quite sure why. So the biggest difference here that I can tell you, aside from being big jump there for Professional Plumbing, the biggest difference between all of these boats, aside from manufacturing, is Professional Plumbing is the only one still running the Mercury 2-stroke engine. There is a look at Northwing Offshore. Hard to tell what's going on there. But this boat, S14 Professional Plumbing, only boat running the Mercury 2-stroke 280 horsepower outboard engine. It's the last boat in the class running the previous setup. All the other teams have now gone to the Mercury 300R outboards. And it was funny, Ryan had a really great race. I think it was in Cocoa Beach, if I remember correctly. He had a really great race, and he said, you know what, Mike? The 2-stroke still got it. The 2-stroke can still run with these guys, and they're proving it out here in Sarasota today because they're up there challenging for the second place spot. That should be Big East just to the left. Big hop there by Steel. Steel should be in third, and Professional Plumbing now, I believe, in fourth. Ricardo Maldonado and Ricky Maldonado running this Faza Red S3 boat. I'm sorry, that's Allied Construction. They are currently in fourth. So Big East in second. That's Jackhammer. That white dot all the way up to the top left-hand side of your screen, that was Jackhammer. That's how far they have pulled away. And what's helping that, I think, is this battle, this four-way battle we got going for second through fourth. These boats are battling, allowing Jackhammer to just kind of slightly pull away. And as I look at Allied, they did rip one of those pieces off the side of their boat. It looks like they may have done some damage to the cowling on the port motor. Hard to say, but I do see something sticking up in the air there. So whatever they did, it was hard enough to break something loose. There is second, third, fourth, and fifth. Big East Construction in third, Steel. I'm sorry, Big East Construction in second, Steel in third. And look at Professional Plumbing pouring on the speed again. They are trying to make a run up the inside. They've really, really liked the north leg of this course. And look at Steel. I believe that's maybe the access door open on the Steel engine as well. So these rough conditions really taking a toll on these Mercury Racing cowlings. Big hop there. Set it down on the back corner. But look at Professional Plumbing on the inside. Ryan Beckley and Connor Toomey now up into third place. Allied trying to run with them, deck to deck on the outside. That's Big East in the middle. Go Ryan Beckley, go Connor Toomey. S14. They are going to own the inside of that corner. Now Allied's going to have to deal with Steel. It's really cool to see. It's not cool, but it's interesting rather to see some of these boats are slowing just because look at Professional Plumbing. They have taken second place away from Big East. Look at that, Doug Wright with the two-stroke outboards. They are simply putting on a show compared to these four-strokes. Go get them, Ryan Beckley and Connor Toomey. Boat looks really good, running really flat. Remember, one lap ago, this boat was nowhere in the picture. They poured on the speed on the back straightaway and have made their way all the way up to second place. So Big East now in third, Steel in fourth, and Allied in fifth. Here comes Allied on the outside. What I was saying is every once in a while, one of these boats takes a big hop, and there gets to be some position changing, and then they settle the boat down, the other boat takes a hop, so then the other boat makes up some ground. A lot of jockeying for positioning here in Sarasota in this super stock race. So far, not disappointing. This should complete lap number 3 of this race on to lap number 4 of 9. So Allied sticking in there after a pretty hairy moment at the start of the race. There is North Wing with the hatch up in the middle of the course. Here is your leader, Jackhammer, Reese Landheim, and Julian Maldonado, Manatee Marine. This team picking up right where they left off. This is a true rough water team. They enjoy the rough water. They have the boat set up for it. And obviously getting it done here today in Sarasota. Big hop there. As you can kind of see just how rough it is. Really getting tossed around quite a bit. So it didn't really calm down at all, and that's allowed to be a pretty exciting race in super stock. S42 Jackhammer. They're going to complete lap number 3 on to lap number 4, entering that monster mile, and it's quite monstrous out there now as these boats are getting tossed around quite a bit. But Jackhammer so far is really the only boat that I haven't seen do anything too funky crazy as they've jumped across these waves. They're the only one that hadn't really stood it up or stuffed it down kind of in the front. But this is the race right here. This is the one we need to watch. That's Professional Plumbing on the inside. You've got Big East Construction in the middle and Steel on the outside. Steel looks like to be a little bit faster. Big East now tries to make a move back around Professional Plumbing. They're going to take second place as they run south here. Look at Steel on the outside. Where is Allied Construction in all this? That was the 4th boat in this mix. Here is Steel. Big air there, rolled up on the side a little bit for Professional Plumbing. Good save as they are not letting anything happen. What a run for Ryan Beckley and Connor Toomey. Now, this race is going to get a lot trickier for these guys as these boats get lighter. With as much as they're bouncing around, as they burn off fuel, and these boats start to lighten up, I would suspect you'll see more of a negative trim just because they want to try and keep the boat flat. But, man, that Doug Wright at Professional Plumbing, it's just so flat. It's just running so just perfectly level across the top of these waves. Although now he's losing a little bit of ground to Steel. I think Steel maybe carried a little bit more speed around the outside of that corner. And look, it didn't really pay off because he had to run a longer distance. Meanwhile, Professional Plumbing running a shorter distance. There's Allen Lawn Care Landscaping just to the left of your screen, and that's Team Bermuda S25. GL Construction, not sure what place any of these boats are in at this point. Have to get a wider view to tell you, but it could probably be about maybe 6 or 7 out of this 11-boat fleet. So at 17, Allen Lawn Care Landscaping. So it's Jackhammer in the lead, Big East in second, Steel in third, Professional Plumbing in fourth, Allied Construction in fifth. Oh, look at this. How did that happen? How did Professional Plumbing get on the outside of Steel? Ryan and Connor really liked the inside of this course. That's where they were making up all of their time. I don't know if they just maybe hit a funky wave going through the corner, but they are way out wide now on the northern leg. This is where they liked it. They liked being inside. They were faster here than anybody else, and now they find themselves way on the outside. That's them to the back. So not sure what happened going through 6, 7, 8, and 9. But now it's Big East Construction and Steel. They are battling for second, while Professional Plumbing now back to fourth. Here comes Steel again, charging forward, trying to get alongside of Big East Construction. So it's Jackhammer, Big East, Steel, Professional Plumbing, Allied. Then it's 17, Allen Lawn Care Landscaping, and then 25, Team Bermuda GL Construction. So 5th and 6th for 17 and 25. Boat number S42 continues to lead. They didn't lead from the start. They had to actually get around Northwing. Northwing out with a mechanical issue, unfortunately. As Reese and Julian are just clicking off laps. This will begin lap number 5 of 9, so we've passed the halfway point of this Superstock race. You're watching the 40th annual Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix, coming to you live from the beautiful Gulf of Mexico, day 1 of racing. Tomorrow, we will kick it off with Class 1, then we will do bracket class, then we'll do Mod V, and we will wrap it up with Super Cat. Go to P1Offshore.com, keep up with your favorite team, check out our schedule. We'll be in St. Pete in October next. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and all the social media sites. So there is Steel giving chase to Big East Construction. Steel Industries is actually a night vision goggle manufacturer. Dominic Steele owns that company. Fascinating website. Was checking it out last night. Really have some cool products on there. If you ever need any night vision hardware, check out steelindustries.com. As they run that wide line again, it looks like they slowed quite a bit through that corner because they lost ground to Big East, and now here comes Professional Plumbing. Professional Plumbing back on the inside, back where they wanted to be, back where they liked it. Let's see if that pays off for them, if they can get back around Steel, get back up on this podium. Right now, Big East is in second, Steel is in third, Professional Plumbing in fourth. Such a cool sound here in those Mercury outboard engines. But man, it is rough water out there today. A lot of bouncing around. Great shot there. Look at how level Professional Plumbing is. I've said it almost every time they've come by. Not that every other boat's not level, but that boat just looks great. And considering they have 2-stroke versus 4-stroke outboards, 280 horsepower versus 300 horsepower, doesn't seem like a lot, but the power curve is so different between a 2-stroke and a 4-stroke that maybe some would consider it to be a disadvantage. Would I consider it that way? Probably not. But it's just good to see Ryan and Connor doing so great here at their hometown race in Sarasota. Of course, this is the hometown race for Steel also. A lot of teams based out of this region of Florida. Big East Construction, Gary Ballou, Cole Leibel, they are in second place. I wouldn't call it comfortably quite yet, about 2 rooster tail lengths ahead of Steel. Professional Plumbing just behind this group as they enter the Monster Mile onto lap number 5, more than halfway through this Superstock race. Jackhammer out to a dominating lead right now as there goes Steel across the finish line. S14, Professional Plumbing. I am super pumped for this team, and if anything happens to our top 3 boats, Ryan and Connor are going to be right there to strike on on them and be able to get themselves up on the podium. But as good of a race as they're running, as long as this boat stays running the way they want it to, the setup doesn't go away from them as it gets lighter, they're going to be challenged for a podium the entire race. I don't think Big East and Steel are going to be able to count them out quite yet. Very easy to spot this Big East boat, that bright green livery. Here comes Steel. These boats just won't let each other go. And this could benefit professional plumbing, right? If these boats start battling and slow each other down, that will allow professional plumbing to kind of get up in the mix and battle for a podium spot. So it's Jackhammer in the lead, Big East in second, Steel in third, professional plumbing in fourth. Allied still out there in fifth, Allen Lawn Care Landscaping in sixth, Team Bermuda GL Construction in seventh. Here in Super Stock. Kind of changes your perspective when you see that shot there a little bit, because you realize that these Super Stock boats, while they look like they're really close together and battling like almost virtually deck to deck, there's actually quite a bit of separation. That was a pretty big roller there that Steel just went across the top of, give you a good idea how rough it is out there as well. Here's Billy Allen and Randy Keys. They might not have just gotten the start that they wanted. This is a fairly new boat to this team. Billy Allen, always known to be a rough water racer, and maybe just didn't get the start that they wanted, but I would expect this boat to run really good in rough water. It's what Billy Allen likes. And let's hope they can make up some ground on our front runners, but they're having to contend with GL Construction Team Bermuda, boat number 25, as they are trying to make a move on the inside. As it's two Doug Wright hulls. So the Allen Lawn Care Landscaping boat is a brand new boat, brand new this year from Doug Wright. And the GL Construction Team Bermuda boat is the old former CR Racing boat owned by Casey Boaz and Rob Understall, who will race Supercat tomorrow. These boats are getting ready to go around S1 Allied Construction. Remember, Allied Construction took a really big hop earlier. You can kind of see something going on with a cowling there. They've lost one of their deflectors, and they are starting to slow. So you got to wonder if that incident has now maybe caught up to them a little bit and they're not able to run as fast as they want. As this gives you a good shot of what's going on there. That's Allen Lawn Care Landscaping closest to you, Allied in the middle, and Team Bermuda GL Construction on the inside. They will have the inside lane. They will run the shorter distance. Let's see if Randy and Billy can maintain more speed on the outside of the corner. Tough day for Sean and Sean. They were running good up front. Everything was going well. They got through that incident. Looked like they were going to be able to keep going, but they are definitely slowing. Allen Lawn Care Landscaping, now they're starting to maybe pull a little bit on Team Bermuda. So maybe as this boat kind of comes into the latter part of this race, we're going to complete lap number 5 of 6. Maybe it'll start getting faster, and we'll see Randy and Billy challenge towards the front. S42 Jackhammer continues to lead, completing lap number 5 on the lap number 6. Of course, this boat used to be all silver. And I remember when Reese got into the sport years ago. I don't remember exactly what year it was. Probably maybe 2016, maybe 2017. He actually bought a boat that was shipped over here from Australia. And if anybody ever seen it, it was all black. And it had a great big huge cockpit on it. But the cockpit was virtually as wide as a boat. It probably could have fit 6 people inside that thing. It looked like a pleasure boat, but it was a canopy, right? It had a lid on it. And they took that thing out and raced it a little bit, and it was a learning experience for sure. And I think Reese decided he wanted to be competitive and go racing. He hooked up with the Maldonados. They built the Victory Hull and have not looked back since. Just being a super dominating team on the series. Jackhammer in the lead, Big East in second, Steel in third, Professional Plumbing in fourth. Professional Plumbing, it looks like they're getting ready to make a pass on Steel, if I'm looking at it correctly, and I think they did. So that would put Ryan Beckley and Connor Toomey up on the podium. Here is Allen Lawn Care Landscaping, Randy Keys, and Billy Allen. Of course, Billy Allen, another Lake of the Ozarks, actually from Iowa, but he has a house on Lake of the Ozarks, so he's familiar with that body of water too. Of course, he participated in the shootout a couple of weeks ago. Randy Keys actually raced 450 factory stock in an MTI under the Clovar name. They moved up from that class into Super Cat. And if anybody remembers, their team was involved in an accident where the boat actually flipped over. And that boat that flipped over is now Dirty Money, and Randy's racing with Billy in the Allen Lawn Care Landscaping Super Stocking boat. So Allen Lawn Care Landscaping now in 5th after it looks like Allied is out with some sort of an issue. They enter the Monster Mile on lap number 6 of 9. Not calming down, but this boat looks really fast. I'd love to see where it compares. That's them there at the bottom of the screen, and that looks like steel. I think Allen Lawn Care Landscaping might be making up a little bit of ground here. I kind of thought this boat may come to them, the setup kind of get into more of what they want, and it looks like it's paying off. Are they going to be able to get around steel? That would put them in 4th. So right now, Professional Plumbing is going to be on the podium in 3rd behind Big East. Beautiful Doug Wright. Again, this is the newest new boat this year. Boat looks good. Look at those $300 Mercury Racing engines just dance around on the transom. Here is Celsius, Chris Hopgood, and Jay Muller, S43. And I'm trying to calculate where they are in all of this. Jay Muller and Chris hooking up at the end of last season in Key West, and it's been a very good move for Chris as him and Jay have gelled very well in the cockpit together. Look at this. Look at Allen Lawn Care Landscaping. Oh, big hop there by Steele. Stood it up again, and that just allowed Allen Lawn Care Landscaping to just pull away from him. So I think maybe what we're seeing here, guys, is we're seeing the boat come to the team as it's getting lighter. They're able to run it faster. They like to set up more. But for Steele, as it's getting lighter, it's just they're having maybe a little bit more trouble controlling it. And here's Performance Boat Center. Let's see if we've got a replay now, I believe, of the most recent Steele. That was a big hop. It's the same thing we've seen. It's launched off of one wave, and it's falling in the hole of another and rolling over to one side. Good save by the Maldonados to keep that boat upright. But that allowed Allen Lawn Care Landscaping to get by. So that should put them up into 4th. Now they're going to set their sights on Professional Plumbing. Nobody right now is catching this boat. S42 Jackhammer. If you could pan off and see how big their lead is, they're probably almost, I wouldn't say a half a lap up, but at least a quarter lap up on the remainder of the fleet. And they're just out there running their race. Big East is in 2nd. Professional Plumbing in 3rd. Allen Lawn Care Landscaping in 5th. This will complete lap number 6 of 7. Wow, that's Big East right there. That's 2nd place. That's almost a half a lap. Almost. I didn't think it was that big, but that's a big lead right there. So that should be Big East. The first little dot you see, the second little dot you see should be Professional Plumbing, and that may be Allen Lawn Care Landscaping up behind that group. But these boats behind our leader are battling so much that I think they're just allowing Jackhammer to pull away. Although Jackhammer looks great, it's really enjoying this rough water. It's flying flat and level. And they really haven't done anything too funky over the waves either. They've kind of been running a good race. As Julian and Reese have raced together for quite a few years now, they've gelled well together in the cockpit. They understand each other. And this boat maintained by Manatee Marine. They are another... The Landheims also not from Lake of the Ozarks, but they're another team that hangs out at Lake of the Ozarks as well. And Reese's son Connor will race tomorrow in the Class 7 Jackhammer boat, so we'll look forward to seeing that race as well. This is the 40th annual Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix coming to you live from Sarasota, Florida. And this is the remainder of our super stock fleet. So that looks like Allen Lawn Care Landscaping. That looks like Steel. Steel has just fallen off the pace tremendously. As we are now heading south again on this course. That's GL Construction Team Bermuda to the inside. So I think they've gotten around Steel as well. I think Steel has just gotten too light. I just don't think they can run the speed they were running before. As Jackhammer, I believe, is about a half a lap up on the remainder of the fleet here in Sarasota. Hats off to Professional Plumbing, though. They can keep it together, and they can stay away from Allen Lawn Care Landscaping. They will come home with a podium spot. This is lap number 7 of 9, 2 to go here in Sarasota. This will be the final race of the day. And here is GL Construction Team Bermuda. They are starting to get by Steele. Steele was up front early on. Don't know if they're having some sort of an issue because of the hops they've taken, or if it's just the boat's just going away from them due to setup. It's hard to say. But the boat is bouncing around quite a bit. If you saw how GL Bermuda was taking that straightaway and how Steele was taking it, Steele was really up out of the water a lot more. So Jackhammer continues to lead, Big East in second, Professional Plumbing in third. Be interesting to see what Allen Lawn Care Landscaping is doing back there. They were the team that was the fastest, I believe, and making up the most ground. They got around Steele and set their sights on Professional Plumbing. And let's see if the rough water experience of Billy Allen and Randy Keys pays off in the latter part of this race. 2 laps to go. But see how the bow just never really gets high on this boat. No matter what they hit, it's just coming back down pretty quickly, and it's not really falling over a lot side to side. It's just running super flat and super good. They've also got a hatchet, looks like, popped up on the back there. That's a good shot of the deflectors I was talking about. I believe that's what Sean Connor and Sean Torrente and Allied ripped off on the very early laps of this race. Great footage by the X Insurance helicopter. There it is in tow. Thank you to Parker Lindsay and Rick Lindsay for providing the footage. We will see their boat race tomorrow. Actually, we'll have a whole fleet of X Insurance boats racing tomorrow. We'll have the Mod B entry. We'll have the Class 7 entry. We'll have the Class 1 entry. So a lot of X Insurance boats on the course tomorrow. This is Celsius and Performance Boat Center. They are battling towards the back part of the fleet. Not sure what position they're in at this point. But it looks like Performance Boat Center is going to get around Celsius as they cross the start-finish line. This should be lap number 8 of 9. As Celsius looks like they're going to try and go to the inside of this turn, maybe run the shorter course and get back around Performance Boat Center. So let's see if we can see what's going on back towards second and third. I think that's going to be the race to try and finish with. I don't think that's them in the top of the screen, but it very well could be. There were 3 boats up there at the very, very top, and that may be the other boats in Super Stock. That is Northwing. They were out early on after a great start. They were running up towards the front. Derek Kitteridge and Casey Boaz. Tough day for those guys, as this is their second race where things just haven't gone the way they wanted to, but they're upright this time, so that's always a step in the right direction. As Jackhammer clicks off one more lap, lap number 8 of 9. So next time by, it should be the white flag for this victory haul. And there they go past the finished boat. Great run for this team in Super Stock. Tomorrow we'll kick off round with Class 1 in the morning. We'll do our bracket classes. We'll do Mod B, and then Super Cat will be the final race of the day. Go to P1Offshore.com for all more information. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Search P1 Offshore. Here is second and third. Big East Construction and Professional Plumbing. Professional Plumbing not making up as much ground as they were before, but the boat still looks great. And look, for this boat to get up on the podium with the 2-stroke outboards, man, I think it's fantastic for Connor and Ryan. Ryan has told me on numerous occasions, Connor to me is a fantastic driver. Really does a great job inside of this boat. Of course, Connor has his own pleasure Doug Wright cat boat, but he's also an auto car racer as well, dirt track racer from back in Maryland, and that provides really good experience for racing these boats. So good for Connor and Ryan. Let's hope they can hold on to third place. Boat getting a little bit more flighty. It hadn't been bouncing around that much, so it could be getting just a little bit lighter. But you can see just even the difference of the engine height between the two-stroke outboards, which they are running, and the four-stroke outboards that the remaining of the fleet is running. But, hey, hats off to Ryan. He believes that two-strokes can still do it, so they're going to push it as long as they can. As you get that rare two-stroke sound there in the background. There is Jack Hammer. Boat used to be all silver, and I believe last year they went over to what they call a Ferrari red, which is that reddish color that you now see on the canopy and on the hull sides. Black bottom boat, maintained at Manatee Marine right here on the west coast of Florida. They enter the long straightaway between 9 and 1, heading north on the Gulf of Mexico. Next time by should be the white flag lap for this team, and I would feel pretty comfortable in saying this team's probably on cruise control at this point. There's really nothing they need to worry about doing. They're just going to run their race at this time, and you can see that's another Superstock boat off up to the screen. That might be Celsius or Performance Boat Center. Hard to tell from our vantage point. Rusty Williams and Myra Coyle, Performance Boat Center. They'll have to go back and do some homework back out at Lake of the Ozarks and get the speed back into that Doug Wright boat. But right now, it's all Jackhammer in Superstock. Victory Hull, you can see the square or the cornered windows on it designed to deflect water if there is ever a rollover, so you don't want a flat, rounded surface where the pressure of the water can get on the windshield. So those corners, those sharp angled corners, are to deflect the water off of the canopy. That's some of the new safety standards we're seeing installed on some of these canopied race boats for safety purposes in case there is a rollover. As they make that not as wide turn as the other end on the north end of the course. They will come by and should get the white flag this time by. So it's Jackhammer, Big East, Professional Plumbing, Allen Lawn Care Landscaping now up to 4th. Team Bermuda, GL Construction in 5th. As you now get a wider shot of some of our super stock boats. And that's somebody slowed there on the inside. Somebody is coming off of a plane. Hard to tell who that is. That's Steele. Okay, so Steele has some sort of mechanical issue. They were running up front, but remember they slowed and allowed a couple of the other boats to get around. So maybe they've had this ongoing issue that finally has just come to a head, and they've had to slow. Looks like maybe just one engine at this point. So it's Jackhammer, Big East, Professional Plumbing, Allen Lawn Care Landscaping, GL Construction, Team Bermuda, Allied, Celsius, and Performance Boat Center. Your running order in Super Stock. There is the white flag for Jackhammer. One more lap to go here in Sarasota, and we will wrap up the first day of racing. What a great shot there. I believe that's from the boat that Taylor is on, bobbing up and down in the Gulf of Mexico. Hopefully the motion is not getting too bad to her. Hopefully she's feeling not ill. Jackhammer will enter turn 6, 7, 8, and 9 in the Monster Mile for the last time today here in Sarasota. This team will set its sight on its next race. And there is Steele. So Jackhammer has 367 points. Team Bermuda GL Construction has 334. Celsius has 287. So right now, this is really going to help Jackhammer's points lead because there are a few boats between them and Bermuda GL Construction. And I would venture to say that barring something happening, Bermuda GL Construction would have had a shot at the championship, only being about 30 points back. But they've got Big East Construction, they've got Professional Plumbing, and Allen Lawn Care Landscaping between them. So that's just going to boast the points lead for this S42 Jackhammer team in Super Stock. Hope everybody has enjoyed your day out on the beach. in the VIP tent area. Don't forget, you can go to P1Offshore.com, buy some tickets, and experience that VIP tent for yourself. S43 actually now is getting lapped by Jackhammer, so not a good day for Chris Hopgood and Jay Muller. Of course, Jay Muller will be out tomorrow in WHM. There is Steel. They are getting lapped now by Big East Construction. So not sure what happened to Steel. They took some pretty big hits there on the outside of the course, and maybe that has finally caught up to them. Beautiful Gary Ballou, Cole Leibel did a great job. They're going to find themselves in second place. There's Professional Plumbing. Steel now finally succumbs, turns to the inside. So they are going to move to the inside of the course. Looks like they may have lost an engine. I think they may have lost the engine, had that little door up on top of it, so not sure they've ingested some water or got something somewhere where it shouldn't have been, but they are out of the race. After a great start, running up front with that Faza Hall, Ricardo Maldonado and Ricky Maldonado. Here is Allied, and actually, that's Team Bermuda GL Construction. They got past the Allied Construction boat, but now all of a sudden Allied Construction's found this speed, this burst of speed, and they are starting to run. They're starting to make up some ground on the rest of the super stock fleet because, yeah, S25 had gotten around them. They're still going to be on the inside, but look at the speed. Actually, it looks like Allied is able to carry a little bit more speed around the outside. They're going to pull away from that Doug Wright boat on the last lap of the race here in Sarasota. Exciting racing here in super stock. We'll see if the conditions will lay down for tomorrow or if this bump is going to stay around. I heard early on here in Sarasota when I got here that it was going to pretty much be rough all weekend, and that's kind of holding pretty true. So that will make it some exciting racing for our bracket class boats tomorrow. Mod V should be exciting. Super Cat Class 1, lots of racing action tomorrow. Here is Jackhammer. They head south one more time. Julian Maldonado, Reese Landheim. It is their race to lose at this point. And I believe even if it went down to one engine, they're far enough ahead of everybody else where they could probably get across the finish line and still win the race. They put Celsius a lap down. Celsius has struggled early on, since early on in the race. Not sure what happened to Chris and Jay, but I'm sure they will get the boat figured out and be ready for the next race. Great run by Jackhammer. Boats looked good all day. It's been flat. It's been level. Hadn't really been shine walking side to side. It's just been a nice, good running platform. And as I said, Julian and Reese have really bonded inside. Big hop. May have spoken too soon there as they bounced around a little bit. But Julian and Reese have really bonded the boat together. They're a good, strong, solid team. They have lots of experience together. They've dominated. They are your defending world champions. And they are poised to take the win here in Sarasota, Florida. There is the checkered flag. And there is Jackhammer, your winner in Super Stock, boat number S42, Jackhammer. Reese Landheim and Julian Maldonado taking the victory. Congratulations to them. These boats will have to get tech inspected, be weighed, and they will have the ECMs checked when they get back to the pits, so everything we tell you, the results are unofficial. Barring post-race inspections, they turn to the inside of the course. And we'll pan back out and look for Big East Construction. They should be in second. That's Celsius, so they're going to complete some laps. There are some boats out, so they're going to run laps accordingly to try and finish distance to make up as much ground as they can. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's Celsius. That might be Performance Boat Center up to the top there. Wow, that shows you how far ahead Jackhammer was of everybody else. That's unbelievable. They had a dominating lead in that race. Here's Cole Leibel and Gary Ballou. Boat number S89, Big East Construction. Cole Leibel based out of Canada. They're going to come across with a solid second place today. They had to earn this one, though. Very early on, a lot of the teams were not letting them get away easily. Professional Plumbing was showing them something. Steel was showing them something. As they had to earn this they had to get this well-earned second place away from other teams out here on the course. So it's a 1-2 victory haul day here in Sarasota, as Big East Construction will get the checkered flag this time by. Third place should go to Winner S14, Professional Plumbing, the two-stroke boat. Ryan Beckley and Connor Toomey coming home on the podium. Hats off to these guys. They ran a heck of a race. They were the kind of the performance of the day. They were nowhere near on the start, and they came up and got on the podium. And Billy Allen, Randy Keys coming home in fourth, and Allen Lawn Care Landscaping. I think if there were a couple more laps, this team may have been able to get up towards a podium spot or even closer. But a good run nonetheless for Randy Keys and Billy Allen. They will turn to the inside of the course as the Jackhammer team is out on the deck, starts to celebrate. Here is S1, Allied Construction. Sean Torrente, Sean Connor. They will come across the line in fifth. After some pretty hairy moments at the beginning of the race, taking some bouncy hops around there and doing some potential damage to the boat. Here comes Team Bermuda GL Construction. They should come across the line in sixth. As all of the boats now mill into the center of the course. A lot of action here. After a long delayed start, these super stocks got underway, and boy was it rough. Northwing was up front early on, but the water just took its toll on all of the teams. You can see Allied went up. They ripped part of their back of their boat off. Here goes Steel. They went up, laid it over on its side. Northwing out early after a great start. Tough day for Casey and Chris. Hats off to Professional Plumbing. They were the ones that put on the best show of the day. They were nowhere near where they were nowhere near the front on the start, and they were able to catch up and get on the podium. Your winners, though, Jackhammer over a half a length lead on the rest of the field. Half a length lead on the rest of the field. Congratulations to Jackhammer. Taylor is down in the pits.
What an incredible race that was for Superstock. And the guys that absolutely had a dominating lead. I mean, there wasn't even any boats behind you, Reese. Talk about that race win.
Yeah, we said, we went ahead and talked about this. I said, we're going to give her heck as much as we can for this race. And I told Julian we're either wrecking or checkered because this is his hometown race. And Manatee Marine put us a great product out. They did an awesome job. Julian kicked butt on the throttles, and we just drove the heck out of it. And I'm going to tell you, it was a great time. Great time. Out of breath for a fat guy, but it worked out.
What an incredible win, and wreckers and checkers. But you guys picked the good one, Julian. Checkers it was. Talk about that lead you had.
Yeah, so on the way out, I actually decided to just wait twice, and it worked out in our favor, obviously. We pulled away at the start, and then, the first flyer we took, I felt it. I knew. I was like, we got what we need, and we just kept pushing. We knew we had a big lead. We had people on shore talking to us, but we just said, let's go for as much as we can, so that's what we did.
I love it. They did that for sure. Well, congratulations to these guys. What an incredible win. For now, let's head back up to the booth. Mike, to you.
Congratulations to Reese and Julian. It looked like Reese may wanted to do a victory jump or a victory trip into the water. As you can see, it was pretty bumpy out there. Hats off to our broadcast team for bringing you that live interview off the deck of the race. But Jackhammer, wow. What a race. As they said, they just made a early decision on weight, and they just went out and checked out and dominated. Big East in second, and hats off to boat number S14, Professional Plumbing, Ryan Beckley and Connor Toomey coming in third place, getting up on the podium here in Superstock. Allen in fourth, Allied in fifth, and Team Bermuda GL Construction in sixth here in Superstock. Well, that wraps up our first day of racing here in Sarasota, Florida. More action coming to you tomorrow. We had Class 1 qualifying with DeFalco taking the pole, but all the Class 1 teams, from what we understand, did have some sort of an issue, so there's probably a lot of work going on in the pits. Monster Energy threw a propeller blade. They didn't have the setup that they wanted, so unfortunately they are back in the pack. But DeFalco went out and ran the fastest lap of 3:21. They're going to sit on the pole for our first race tomorrow here in Sarasota. Go to P1Offshore.com. Look us up on Facebook. We would like you to tune in tomorrow to continue watching this beautiful racing action here from Sarasota. This is the 40th annual Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix coming to you live from the Gulf of Mexico on the west coast of Florida. There's our X Insurance helicopter. Thank you to Rick Lindsay, Parker Lindsay, for providing that excellent footage here today and at all of our races. They've been with us every single broadcast we've done. Thanks to those guys for all of the help. Our divers are going to jump in the water, cool off just a little bit. They'll swim over to that support boat. The helicopter will head back to the airport, and we will shut it down after a good day of racing. A lot of attrition, but everybody kept its sunny side up, and as far as rough water is concerned, that's the most important thing. Boats can be fixed or replaced, but we don't want to see anybody get hurt. Great job by our medical and safety teams as always. And we are going to wrap up our broadcast for today. Thanks, Ken Stout, for sitting in for Class 1 qualifying. He'll be with me tomorrow for the Class 1 race and all the races taking place here in Sarasota. It's been a pleasure having you. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a good afternoon.
Insurance sucks, and we think so too. Why? Because traditional policies don't provide complete coverage, leaving you to deal with the holes and gaps. But not anymore. X Insurance's true umbrella and true homeowners are a true partner, covering any potential gaps and exclusions. With X Insurance's true umbrella and true homeowners policy, you will experience true insurance when compared to traditional policies. Contact us today or ask your agent about X Insurance.
Mercury Racing was forged in the heat of competition. The will to win is in our DNA. Competition isn't just what we do, it's our proving ground. It's about the pursuit of power, performance, and endurance that pushes our limits and yours. We create premium marine power to take you faster and farther. The world offers limits. Mercury Racing offers freedom.